In a world where martial arts reign supreme, where the strong crush the weak and write all the rules, Hong was just an ordinary teenager carrying an indelible pain. He had tasted the cruelty of this world at a young age. When a monster disaster stole his parents, it left him alone with a deep-seated hatred, possessing a sliver of martial talent. Hong turned his grief into motivation. Throwing himself into a path of grueling training, he believed that only a fist strong enough could reclaim justice. But talent can't fill an empty stomach. Empty, and hard work cannot be exchanged for expensive cultivation resources. He watched helplessly as those with family backing, despite having less talent, easily surpassed him, backed into a corner. Hong bet everything on the only path that could change his fate, the underworld's deathmatch arena. The result was a disastrous failure. He was struck down, his bones shattered. But in that very moment, as his life flickered like a candle in the wind, a cold voice echoed in his mind. "Do you want to make a trade?" Awakening. The strongest system is awakening. Linking with host. Death did not come. Instead, an unimaginable power flowed into his body. Not only did it allow him to train at an insane speed, the system also brought a one-of-a-kind gift, 100% compatibility with all elements lightning and fire. Ice wood, an ability once considered impossible in the history of martial arts. From the ashes of despair, a legend began to rise. Hong's path was no longer a struggle in helplessness, but a journey of revenge and conquering the peak of martial arts. In the middle of the dojo, a powerful kick was thrown. It created a resounding impact. Immediately after, a powerful close-range punch slammed straight into its target. The entire dojo comes into view. Two bare-chested young men are training intensely. Hong, the young man with black hair, unleashes a decisive blow on his opponent. The training partner staggers back, clutching his chest and hissing in pain. "Oof, man, that hurts!" He looked at Hong with astonished eyes. "Hong, your diamond fist has improved again. Don't tell me you've already reached the initiation realm." Hong calmly replied, "I just broke through 2 days ago." Regarding the levels of martial arts, initiation is one of the realms of martial arts in this world. Every martial skill is divided into 5 levels. A diagram appears illustrating the 5 levels of martial arts: entry, initiation, proficiency, mastery, and perfection. His friend, astonished, gives a thumbs up in admiration. "That's insane. When it comes to the diamond fist, no one in this class is your match." However, Hong didn't want to stop. He turned around, his eyes filled with determination. "Rested enough, let's keep going." Hearing that, his friend panicked and waved his hands. "You're a total training maniac. I'm not training with you anymore. I'm going home to eat." With that, he turned and left, leaving Hong standing alone with a pensive look. On his way out, he cheerfully waved goodbye. "See you, Teacher Lai." An elderly teacher, wearing glasses, gently reminded him, "Get dressed properly before you go home." Teacher Lai then approached Hong with a serious expression. "Hong, I finally found you. Aren't you planning to take the martial arts exam?" He bluntly got to the point. "You still haven't paid the 30,000 NDT registration fee. The deadline is next Monday." The confidence on Hong's face vanished. He asked worriedly, "Sir, can you give me a few more days?" Teacher Lai replied with sympathy, "I know your family's situation is difficult, but I can't help you either. Rules are rules." After Teacher Lai left, Hong stood alone in the vast, quiet dojo. The moonlight shone down, highlighting his loneliness and the burden on his shoulders. The number 30,000 NDT for the registration fee kept swirling in his mind. Hong clenched his fists, his breath growing ragged with helplessness. A torrent of painful memories flooded back. "When I was 3 years old, my parents died in a beast calamity." An image of a little boy sobbing amidst the rubble appears. "Since then, I've lived with my uncle and aunt." A happy family photo appears, showing Hong with his uncle, aunt, and 2 younger cousins. After they discovered my talent for martial arts, they spared no effort to support my training. The reason for their support was very clear. After all, in this era ravaged by beasts, being a martial artist is an extremely high-paying profession. But that very motivation was now causing him to torment himself. "I practice martial arts to give everyone a better life, yet now, I'm only making things harder for them." That evening, he returned to his old apartment complex. Standing in front of the door, he suddenly heard the worried voices of his uncle and aunt. From inside, "The rent is due soon, isn't it? How much are we short? Listen, the rent can wait. Let's pay for little Hong's registration fee first." His aunt's voice full of confidence rang out. Little Hong is so talented. That boy will definitely make something of himself. We can't hold him back. The conversation that followed felt like a knife twisting in his heart. His uncle suggested, then I'll stop taking my medicine too. It's not curing me anyway, and we'll save a lot of money. His aunt immediately objected. No way I'll find more work. You just stay home and rest. Don't worry about a thing. Hearing those sacrifices, to Hong's heart shattered. He stood silently outside the door, his face hidden in the shadows, his eyes reflecting a deep pain. He suddenly raised a hand and slapped his own cheek as if to pull himself out of his despair. Regaining his composure, he entered the house with a forced smile. Aunt, uncle, I'm home. His aunt asked with concern. Why do you train so late every day? You must be exhausted. He tried to help his aunt with chores. Auntie let me do that. But they both firmly refused. You think I can't handle this little chore? Hurry up and go to your room and rest. Model. Otherwise, where will you get the strength to train tomorrow? Listen to your auntie. Go home and rest, son. To Hong had no choice but to trudge back to his room. Lying on his bed in the dark, he looked up at the ceiling and made a silent resolve. Uncle, auntie, you two have sacrificed more than enough for me. From now on, I'll solve my own problems. A plan began to form in his mind. His eyes sharpened as he made his decision. For a martial artist, to earn tens of thousands in just a few days, there's only one place. The next day, the scene shifts to a modern building towering amidst lush green trees. Inside the building is a noisy underground arena. The announcer's voice echoes everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the title defense match of the Fighters Arena, a place where there is no life or death, only victory or defeat. On the stage, a beautiful female MC introduces the fighter beside her, today's reigning champion, and is none other than the esteemed Mr. Bull Demon King. That fighter is To Hong wearing a bull's head mask. Behind the mask, To Hong's eyes gleam with determination as the female MC announces the rules. Win 4 matches in a row and take home the grand prize of 60,000 RMB. Lose just 1 match and you get nothing, everyone. So keep your eyes peeled. Whispers ripple through the crowd below. Who is this guy? I've never seen him before. Must be a rookie. A newcomer daring to challenge for the title. Right off the bat, he must have a death wish. The female MC turns and whispers to Hong, Hey kid, show some passion. Hype up the atmosphere. Hong asks blankly, what am I supposed to do? The MC seems impatient. Provoke them. Say some fighting words. Rookies are such a pain. Hong seems to get it. Oh, I see. He immediately lets out a resounding roar. Below the rank of a martial artist, I am invincible. Come on up, you weaklings. This unexpected action leaves the MC stunned. The audience's reaction is electric. Some are shocked. My God, how arrogant. Others are excited. That's cool. But some are scornful. He won't even know how he died. The crowd starts screaming fanatically, Kill him, tear the Bull Demon King apart. The female MC seizes the moment and declares loudly, All right, let the match begin. Standing in the middle of the ring. To Hong thinks to himself, no wonder this is an underground arena. The killing intent is terrifying, but this is the only way I can earn the tuition money quickly. I hope my diamond fist can help me win a few more matches. An opponent in a rat mask leaps into the ring growling, What an arrogant brat, let me play with you. To Hong calmly observes, analyzing in his head. His presence is strong, but his stance is unstable. He seems easy to deal with. The opponent doesn't give him much time to think. He roars, What are you spacing out for? Then he rushes forward with a punch. To Hong reacts, instantly raising his hand and executing a basic palm strike. He easily catches his opponent's chin, making him cry out in pain. With one swift motion, To Hong slams his opponent down, sending him flying. The opponent lies motionless on the floor. To Hong stands proudly raising a victorious fist. The female MC shouts, Next Bull Demon King 1 win. The whole arena erupts in cheers. Whoa, amazing. A new, more muscular opponent steps into the ring with a confident look. That first round was just luck. But your luck ends here. To Hong provokes his opponent with a beckoning hand gesture, then silently assesses, Judging by his build, this guy isn't bad. He's perfect for testing the power of my diamond fist. The new opponent roars, Here I come, and charges in to attack. Bam! The two fists collide, creating a loud noise. The opponent is shocked by To Hong's strength. His punching power is terrifying, while To Hong calmly assesses his punching power is weaker than mine. Taking advantage of his opponent's stunned moment, To Hong throws an uppercut that connects with his face. And after taking one of my punches, he instantly spots an opening. His body is off balance, leaving his entire waist exposed. Without a moment's hesitation, To Hong spins and delivers a powerful kick to his opponent's ribs. The kick is so strong, it sends the opponent flying across the ring. The audience is once again amazed. "Whoa, so strong! The second opponent is down!" The petite but powerful female MC shouts excitedly. Next, Bull Demon King, 2 consecutive wins. The arena once again falls silent, awaiting the next challenger amidst the ceaseless roar of the crowd. In a luxurious room above, a well-dressed man in a suit who looks like the arena's owner is watching the match. He remarks, he's not even a provisional martial artist yet, but his strength far exceeds that of ordinary fighters. This kid is no ordinary talent. After To Hong wins his third match, the large screen displays the words Bull Demon King, 3 consecutive wins. The owner smirks and mutters, he's mediocre against the strong, but more than enough to handle the weak, a perfect pawn for fixed matches. A young man wearing a white fox mask approaches and says respectfully, "Master, I'll go recruit him." The owner turns his back and instructs, "Remember, don't reveal that you've broken through to become a true martial artist." Meanwhile, in the waiting room below, To Hong has taken off his mask. He thinks to himself about the recent victories. With my diamond fist having reached the mastery level, dealing with these ordinary fighters really isn't hard. His eyes gleam with steely determination. His bandaged fist tightens. Just one more win, and the 60,000 RMB prize will be mine. However, when the final opponent steps into the ring, To Hong can't help but be shocked. "It's White Fox," he mutters in disbelief. He's also participating in the title defense match. The audience also recognizes the new fighter. Whispers rise up. Isn't that a provisional martial artist? A provisional martial artist fighting against a regular fighter that's cheating. Sweat begins to bead on To Hong's forehead. He knows this is an uneven fight. A provisional martial artist. This match will be tough, but I can't lose in this ring. White Fox flashes a smug smile behind his mask. He walks leisurely, his tone full of condescension. "Don't be afraid. I'll go easy on you." The female MC raises the microphone, her voice filled with drama. The final title defense match. The match began instantly, the two fighters lunging at each other like arrows. To Hong, fully aware of the difference in their levels, thought to himself, "My realm is lower than his. I have to go all out from the very first strike." He unleashed a Vajra fist with all his might, but Bok Ho effortlessly blocked the attack. To Hong was stunned as he felt the power in his opponent's grip. No, this strength. He's not a pre-martial artist. His eyes widened in horror as he realized the cruel truth. He's a genuine martial artist. He deliberately concealed his energy signature. Bok Ho smirked. He took a deep breath, then suddenly unleashed a barrage of lightning-fast thunderstorm fists. To Hong was sent flying, fresh blood spilling from the corner of his mouth. He was dazed. Such terrifying power. Is this the strength of a true martial artist? The audience in the stands was also horrified. That's the triple heavy force of the thunderstorm fist. The Bull Demon King is done for. Bok Ho gave To Hong no chance. He attacked relentlessly, taunting, "Is defending all you know how to do? Fight back, show me what you've got." Pushed into a corner. To Hong could only raise his arms to defend against the storm of attacks. He knew that if this continued, "I'll definitely lose." Bok Ho continued his relentless assault while To Hong tried to find an opening. "I have to find a chance to counterattack." In a single moment, he found a gap, but just then a fist was already right in front of his face. Bok Ho launched a devastating kick that sent To Hong sprawling onto the arena floor. Lying on the floor, blood flowing endlessly from his mouth and nose, To Hong felt his consciousness starting to fade. "Damn it, I'm blacking out." Bok Ho casually strolled over, placed his foot on To Hong's mask, and said with a contemptuous tone, "Hey, buddy, you won't be getting a single cent of the prize money from this match." He bent down and made an offer. "But my master invites you to join us from now on and participate in fixed matches for us. If you agree, we'll still pay you the full prize money for this fight." To Hong gritted his teeth and snarled, "I would never do something so shameless." Bok Ho straightened up, his eyes cold. "Think it over carefully. You're in no position to refuse us." Hong glared up, his eyes filled with indignation.
Doing these things!
And you people still dare to call yourselves martial artists? Bok Ho lost all patience. So there's nothing left to discuss, is there? He suddenly lunged forward, unleashing a vicious strike. In that case, I'll cripple you so you can only ever be a martial artist in your dreams. In that life-or-death moment, the desire to become a martial artist burned fiercely into Hong's mind. Just as Bok Ho's kick was about to land, he suddenly froze in astonishment. With extraordinary willpower, Hong forced himself back up, his entire body erupting with a fiery aura. He muttered unconsciously, "I can't fall here. Oh, I can't be defeated here." Bok Ho couldn't believe his eyes. "What? He took a full-power thunderstorm fist, and he can still get up?" In Hong's chaotic mind, an image of his family appeared, and his promise echoed, "I will become a martial artist. I'll give them a good life. I can't let my aunt and uncle's sacrifices be for nothing." But then he questioned himself. But must I really abandon my pride as a martial artist? A terrible vision appeared. He was crippled, sitting in a wheelchair. He screamed in desperation, "No, no! I will never accept a future like that." Suddenly, a strange mechanical voice echoed in his head as a virtual interface appeared before his eyes. "Then for your family, for your ideals, what are you willing to trade in your desperation?" Hong let out a roar, answering the question echoing in his mind. His entire body erupted with a brilliant red aura, his eyes flashing with a fearsome light. The system interface appeared again. "Confirming your choice. What price are you willing to pay?" Without a single moment of hesitation, he answered with all of his will, "Everything." The ground beneath his feet and the space around him seemed to shatter. Instantly, the scene of the arena vanished. Hong stood bewildered in a strange space, a dark and ancient grand hall. He looked around in confusion as bizarre, grotesque shadows stretched across the ground. Where is this place? From the far end of the hall, a brilliant golden light appeared, materializing into a colossal divine entity. Hong looked up in amazement, stammering, "Who are—" The entity did not answer. Only a majestic voice resounded, "I shall grant you this opportunity." It then dissolved into countless particles of light. The golden particles swirled around Hong before converging in front of him, forming a transparent panel, like a high-tech screen. Hong stared at the panel in amazement and exclaimed, "What is this?" A status window was clearly displayed. Name, Hong Chi, and blood 85 plus spirit 23 plus physique mortal body 3% plus. Quest, the arena's path. Martial skills. Vajra fist, beginner, 7%. Floating light, palm proficient, 35%, void. Treading steps, proficient 56%. Martial path value 0. This is displaying all of my attributes. Could it be a touch screen? Both curious and skeptical. Hong tried tapping the quest section, which had a red notification dot. A detailed information panel appeared. Random quest, the arena's path. Description. The path to becoming a powerful warrior is fraught with hardship. Hone your martial skills here, and deal with Bok Ho, who is waiting outside. Objective: train martial skills. Raise Vajra fist to great achievement and floating light palm and void treading steps to beginner. Rewards. This is a beginner's tutorial. There are no rewards. Current progress. Vajra fist. Beginner, 7%, plus floating light palm. Proficient 35%, void. Treading steps, proficient 56%. Note, this quest can activate the beginner's guide. The moment the new player guide Hong was wondering about appeared, a copy of himself made of data and light suddenly materialized. That copy didn't say a word. It immediately rushed forward to attack me. Hong hastily dodged the blow, completely astonished. This is a copy of me, and it's also using the Vajra fist. What's more, its Vajra fist is even more refined than mine, as perfect as a textbook. An idea flashed in his mind. Hong was no longer afraid, but became excited. With such an excellent example right in front of me, how could I miss this chance to learn? He immediately charged in to fight the copy. Every move the copy made was perfect, helping Hong realize his own shortcomings. Is it demonstrating for me? Thwack, lost in observation, Hong was struck in the chest. Oh no. He staggered backward, coughing violently, but right after that, A small notification panel appeared before his eyes, showing that the progress of his Vajra fist had increased to 10%. I remember it was only at 7% before. How did it improve so fast? Realizing the immense benefit, Tahong clenched his fists, his fighting spirit blazing once more. But it can really help me level up my martial skills this quickly. He was no longer on the defensive. Instead, he proactively dove into the fight. The two clashed fiercely. A progress bar for the Vajra fist continuously rose from 15% to 23%. When they both used the void stepping technique, the progress bar for the footwork also leaped from 59% to 70%. Notification panels appeared one after another. His martial arts stats were increasing at an unbelievable rate. Soon, both the void stepping technique and the Vajra fist had reached 97% and 98%. Boom! During a clash of palms, the progress bar for the floating light palm hit 100%. A stream of light enveloped Tahong. The martial art has broken through floating light palm mastery. Tahong moved like a gust of wind. The system screen announced void stepping technique 100% mastery. He threw another incredibly powerful punch. An explosive force erupted. Vajra fist 100%. Grand completion exiting the training space. Tahong stood in the middle of the dark hall, drenched in sweat and panting heavily. Ha! Ha! He looked at the mission notification that appeared before him. Congratulations, player, you have completed the mission Path to the Arena. The reward has been distributed. Do you agree to return to reality? He quietly replied. Thanks. A flash of light and Tahong and his Bull Demon King guys returned to the ring facing White Fox and decisively confirmed yes. White Fox lunged forward, attacking fiercely. With a face full of anger, he shouted, "Stop your cheap tricks, take this!" But Tahong skillfully dodged with ease. He roared, rumbling thunder fist. White Fox unleashed a series of lightning-fast punches surrounding Tahong. Suddenly, Tahong appeared right behind his opponent. With a calm, cold expression, he said, "Too slow." Before White Fox could react, Tahong's fist shot forward at a terrifying speed. Crack. A thunderous punch shattered White Fox's mask. Shards flew everywhere. Tahong pulled back his fist with a resolute expression, ignoring his stunned, defeated opponent. The entire arena fell silent, as White Fox's body collapsed onto the floor right before the audience. Tahong stood tall, his blazing red eyes looking down on his enemy in the silent arena. He turned to ask the stunned female MC, "I've won my 4th match. When are you going to give me my prize money?" The girl stammered in shock, right." From above, the arena's owner clutched his wine glass, looking in horror at the notification. Bull Demon King receives a reward of 60,000 RMB. Vajra Fist has reached the grand completion realm. How could a martial arts apprentice possibly train to that level? Even most martial artists can't do that. His face turned sinister as he ordered his subordinate, "Follow him. Find out that kid's real identity." The subordinates bowed in obedience. Understood. That night, Tahong had taken off his mask. He walked silently through a deserted alley, looking weary after the fight. He suddenly stopped, his sharp eyes glancing behind him as he sensed someone tailing him. A shadow flashed by. Tahong abruptly vanished into the deep darkness of the old street. 2 henchmen rushed forward in a panic. "Where did he go?" The boss gave strict orders. "We have to uncover his identity at all costs." Right above them, Tahong was braced between 2 walls with a faint, contemptuous smile. "Still want to follow me? Humph." He quickly climbed to the rooftop, looking towards the bright moon in the silent night sky. 1 hour later at Tahong's home, light shone from the small apartment in the old complex. Looking at the pile of money on the table, his uncle cried out in alarm. His aunt was also shocked and trembling. "Little Hong, did you rob a bank?" "Where did all this money come from?" Tahong calmly explained as the family sat around the dinner table. "Didn't I tell you I'm a sparring partner at a martial arts hall? The owner saw my talent and decided to sponsor my training." His aunt was still suspicious. "Didn't you say before that the dojo was extremely stingy?" He took both of their hands. His gaze was incredibly sincere. "Uncle, Auntie, you don't believe me." The uncle burst into a happy laugh. The aunt was also bashfully delighted. "That's right, our little Hong would never lie. Our little Hong has really made it big." Late at night, Hong silently jumped out of the window and climbed onto the roof to find a private space. Sitting under the full moon, he smiled in relief. The martial arts tournament fee is covered, and so is the rent. Auntie's medical bills are also taken care of for now. Ha ha ha! He opened the system to check it again. Turning danger into safety this time was all thanks to this system. Name Hong. Talent unparalleled through the ages. Chi and blood 85+. Spirit 23+. Physique, mortal body 3%. Active missions none. Martial arts. Vajra fist, grand completion 5%. Floating light, palm mastery 8%. Void stepping technique. Mastery 9% plus martial prowess 67. But aside from the martial art levels, the other values haven't changed. Hong stared at the status panel, extremely curious about the new stat martial prowess. What is it and what does it do? Immediately, an explanation panel appeared. Defeating a higher-level opponent will grant 67 martial prowess points. Martial prowess can be used to increase chi and blood and martial arts. Use it wisely. Hong decided to act right away. Let me try it right now. He repeatedly pressed the plus sign to add points. The notification Chi and Blood plus 0.1 flashed rapidly, until the panel displayed Chi and Blood 90+. Hong's eyes rolled back, and his pupils constricted as he felt a surge of intense heat coiling inside his body. Thump, thump. A powerful blazing aura surrounded him like a raging fire in the dark night. Whoosh! He let out a soft breath of relief to calm his mind, silently assessing, my Chi and Blood has reached 90. I've reached the standard martial artist level. With points to spare, he didn't hesitate to pump all his remaining martial arts value into vitality. Ding, ding, ding. Hong lifted his shirt to check his toned body. The old wounds from the battle have completely vanished. Not only has my physical strength improved drastically, but even the injuries on my body are almost completely healed. It feels like I have an endless source of power inside me. I need to find a place to test my current strength. In the quiet of the night, he deftly leaped across the rooftops of the old district. Whoosh, whoosh! His eyes were fixed on his chosen destination. How about the school's training ground? They have a strength tester there. The scene shifts to the outdoor training ground of Tintu City's #1 high school. Hong silently landed in the middle of the field. He approached a giant armored machine, a level 1 strength tester. Hong took his stance, the red aura flaring up intensely again. He thought to himself, this punch. I'll only use 70% of my power. Ooh. His gaze turned icy cold. One eye flashed with a menacing, brilliant red light. Whoosh! He spun around and unleashed a punch with the force of 1,000 pounds. It slammed right into the red center of the machine. Crash! The smoke and dust cleared. Hong was sweating bullets, a look of utter disbelief on his face. Huh! Looking at the expensive strength tester, which now had a huge hole punched through it and was smoking heavily, he worried, oh, I'm screwed. This machine's quality is terrible. They're not going to make me pay for it, are they? Sizzle, sizzle. Suddenly, a booming shout shattered the night, making Hong jump. Shut up. What the hell are you doing in the middle of the night? He immediately took to his heels and ran. Gotta get out of here fast. The principal ran out, looked at the wreckage, and choked with rage. Which bastard came to the school's training ground and smashed the strength tester like this? At this school, only those two brats, Transun and Laidu, are capable of doing this. He gritted his teeth, his face flushed with anger. Just wait until school starts again. I'll teach you two a lesson you won't forget. The next morning at the gymnasium of #1 high school of Tintu City, all the students were gathered, making a lot of noise. A male student looked at the huge lump on Transun's head and asked curiously, how did Transun get beaten up so badly? Hong stood behind them quietly observing. The friend next to him whispered in his ear, I heard Transun smash the machine at the training ground last night. He was stubborn and wouldn't admit it, so the principal punished him good. Hong smirked slyly. So he took the blame for me. Just then on the stage, the principal shouted, everyone be quiet! He introduced the man beside him. Today I've invited an old comrade, a third-level martial artist, Tran Thien, to teach everyone a C-rank martial art, the Rushing Thunder Fist. Please learn diligently. The entire hall buzzed with excitement. This is the first time I've ever seen a third-level martial artist. At outside dojos, they charge hundreds of thousands to teach C-rank techniques. Hong recalled the battle from the other day and realized, if it really is the Rushing Thunder Fist, then that's the same martial art Bak Ho used. It's a technique with 3 strikes in one. Incredibly powerful. He looked at the martial arts ranking board and made up his mind. Learning a C-rank technique outside costs at least a few hundred, and thousand just to enroll. I absolutely have to seize this opportunity. Trantine stepped to the center of the stage and said decisively, "Students, enough with the chatter. I will demonstrate 10 times from beginning to end. How much you learn depends on you." He executed a powerful punch that let out a sharp, explosive sound. The rushing Thunder Fist is incredibly fierce and domineering. At the entry level, each punch creates a thunder-like clap. As he demonstrated, he explained the levels. At the proficient level, it creates 3 resonances. At the insight level, it's 5 times. At the grand completion level, it's 7 times. A brilliant golden aura enveloped Trantien. As he threw the final blow, "That is my current level." After retracting his stance, he reminded them sternly, "At the perfected level, it can create 9 resonances. However, don't be too ambitious. If you can reach the entry level today, that's already more than good enough." Then he shouted, "All right, I will begin the second demonstration. Try to keep up." The students below roared in unison, "Yeah." A few hours later, everyone in the training hall was exhausted. Someone complained, "I can't learn a single thing. I'm so drained." Did anyone figure out the trick to it? To Hong's close friend, drenched in sweat and trembling, said, "How could anyone possibly learn this? A C-rank technique is way too difficult." He frantically looked around. "To Hong, did you get it yet?" But To Hong's spot was now empty. "Huh. Where did he disappear to?" Boom, boom, boom. In the distance, Tran Son was emitting a blazing hot aura. He shouted, "Ha ha! I've successfully reached the entry level." The other guy watched with a look of dismay. No wonder everyone calls Tran Son a genius. How does his brain even work? The principal proudly introduced him to Tran Tien. "That's the #1 genius of our school, Tran Son. Are you interested in giving him a few pointers?" Tran Tien glanced over and replied coldly, "You call that a genius? In other cities, he's just average." The two of them walked out of the modern dojo together under a clear blue sky. Tran Tien complained, "Old Lee, this batch of students is no good. You've made me waste my time for nothing," the headmaster replied with a look of resignation. "It's already a miracle to find one student who has even reached the introductory level. Were you still hoping to find a top-tier genius here?" The two men walked. As they chatted on the school grounds, Chen Tian sighed. "The path of martial arts is so cruel. Talent is just too important." The headmaster nodded in agreement. "That's right. Without natural talent, relying on effort alone will get you absolutely nowhere." Suddenly, a series of earth-shaking booms erupted from the training grounds, stunning both of them in shock. Boom, boom, boom. "What in the world?" Chen Tian exclaimed in astonishment as he saw a young man. He was shrouded in lightning, 7th level of the rushing Thunder Fist. "Our school actually has an expert of this caliber." "Impossible," the headmaster replied, dumbfounded. "I've never heard of anyone like that." Looking closer at the person executing the martial art in the distance, the headmaster shouted, "Look at those clothes! That's a student!" Chen Tian broke out in a cold sweat, unable to believe his eyes. "I only just finished teaching for half a day, and there's already a student who has reached the great accomplishment stage." The resonant sounds grew louder. The headmaster gripped the steel fence, trembling as he cried out, "9 resonances! Am I hearing things, old Chen? That's 9 resonances!" Then he turned worried. "Old Chen, what's wrong with you?" Chen Tian stared intently at the figure. An enigmatic smile appeared on his lips. "I get it. I finally get it all." He suddenly clenched his fists. Bolts of lightning began to coil around his arm, more powerful than ever. With a resounding roar, rushing Thunder Fist, Chen Tian threw a powerful punch towards the empty air. The headmaster cried out in amazement. 8 resonances! Old Chen, you broke through!" Chen Tian replied excitedly. "It was that student's rushing Thunder Fist just now that gave me the inspiration. Otherwise, I probably would have never been able to break through in this lifetime." But then he suddenly realized something more important. "No, this isn't the time for that. Quick, let's go find out who that student is." The two of them rushed off in search, but when they arrived, all that was left on the grass was a faint silhouette departing. They looked around bewildered. Where did he go? Meanwhile, Su Hong was walking wearily down the street. "I didn't expect cultivating a C-rank martial art would be this exhausting. It's way beyond the D-rank Diamond Fist." He opened his status panel to check. Vitality 91.7, Spirit 23, Physique 3%, Martial Arts Rushing Thunder Fist Perfection, etc. He calculated silently, "My Rushing Thunder Fist has reached the perfection level. Next, I need to find a way to earn more martial arts points to break through to the martial artist realm as soon as possible. Instead of another life or death battle, what if I just have a normal spar with someone? Would I still get martial arts points? He stopped in front of an imposing wooden gate bearing the name Raging Thunder Dojo. This must be the place. Inside the dojo, disciples were diligently practicing their spear techniques under strict supervision. Thwip, thwip. A fellow student recognized him and ran over. Su-hong, what are you doing here today? Su-hong smiled and replied, I didn't have anything to do today, so I came here to practice a bit. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed from the center of the dojo. A purple-haired youth named Li Tu was brutally stomping on another disciple's head. Slam! He gritted his teeth, threatening with a vicious expression. You dare say my master's teaching is no good if your comprehension is crap? And then just admit it? Stop making excuses. Su-hong frowned as he observed, then asked his friend, What's going on over there? The friend whispered anxiously, You haven't been here lately, so you wouldn't know. His master is a new instructor. He's very strong, but he looks down on ordinary people like us. And his teaching is very half-hearted. The friend continued, watching the violent scene. And his disciple, this guy Li Tu, is also extremely strong. Li Tu punched his opponent straight in the face with a contemptuous smile. With your pathetic level, you still dare to challenge me. Suddenly, a hand shot out and seized Li Tu's wrist, stopping the punch in its tracks. Su-hong appeared with a sharp gaze and said calmly, That's enough, buddy. Li Tu screamed furiously, Who the hell are you? Let me go. If you've got the guts, fight me one-on-one in the ring. Su-hong calmly retorted, Fine, I'll humor you. Just as the tension peaked, a middle-aged man in a suit stepped out and yelled, What's all this noise? Class is starting. Li Tu reluctantly let go, glaring at Su-hong with a challenging look before walking away. You're a lucky man. Watching his retreating back, Su-hong narrowed his eyes coldly. This guy's a little too arrogant. The instructor stood before the class and announced coldly, Today is the last day I'll be teaching you the Raging Sea Spear technique. Same old rules. I will only demonstrate it once. He grabbed a spear and glided forward. He executed an incredibly powerful routine, kicking up a cloud of dust. Swoosh. Finishing the move, he glanced at the crowd with a look of utter contempt. Just one demonstration. I refuse to believe you worthless trash could learn it. To-hong gripped his spear tightly, his eyes cold and focused as illusory streams of water began to envelop his body. In his mind, the image of the instructor performing the spear technique appeared crystal clear. Through his deep blue eyes, he carefully observed the instructor's spear slam down. The wooden floor splintered from the powerful demonstration. Amidst the cloud of dust, he coldly turned his back and walked away, leaving behind just a few short words, All right, how much you learn is up to you. The disciples below began to murmur and complain. He only demonstrated it once. That's ridiculous. From the back row, we couldn't even see the moves clearly. In stark contrast to the crowd's discouragement, To-hong held his wooden spear tightly, a fierce fire of determination burning behind him. The core of this spear technique is, the spear is like a dragon soaring through the sea, its momentum like 1,000 raging waves. Swish, swish. He began to channel his energy exactly as he had just comprehended, each movement becoming astonishingly precise. Whoosh! To-hong unleashed a powerful spear thrust. Mystical streams of water intertwined with his every movement. The other disciples exclaimed in shock, Oh my God! It looks like To-hong has already learned it. Gasp! What kind of martial arts monster is this? Could it be that we're just too stupid to learn it? Just then, Li Jim stepped out with a vicious look on his face. What's all the noise about? Someone learned it, you think you can do it too? To-hong turned the spear in his hand, held proudly. Li Jim narrowed his eyes, observing him with a dangerous expression. This guy, he really seems to have learned it. I need to test his depth. If he's really a genius, this is going to be interesting. He stepped into the middle of the training ground, issuing a clear challenge. Hey, kid, let me teach you a few things about spear techniques. The crowd hurriedly parted to make way for the confrontation. To-hong calmly accepted. All right. His friend beside him whispered worriedly, To-hong, his personality is terrible, but his skills are the real deal. Don't be reckless. But he just replied softly, Don't worry. Taking a ready stance, To-hong said gently, Please instruct me. Li Jim immediately lunged forward like a whirlwind. You arrogant brat! Take this Raging Sea Spear technique piercing charge! Faced with the deadly attack rushing towards him, To Hong slightly closed his eyes to feel the surging momentum. Whoosh! He suddenly spun around, executing the move perfectly, far surpassing his opponent. Raging Sea Spear Technique Mastery. Li Diam was stunned, horrified at being completely overpowered. How is this possible? Mastery level of the Raging Sea Spear Technique. A deep blue torrent of water enveloped To Hong as he delivered the decisive blow. Raging Sea Spear Technique Mastery Clang. The deafening sound of clashing metal echoed through the dojo. Li Diam gritted his teeth, struggling with utter disbelief. How can someone who hasn't even reached the martial artist level cultivate this to the mastery realm so quickly? A brilliant golden light suddenly flashed in To Hong's eyes, full of power. His momentum exploded forcefully. Clang! With completely overwhelming force, To Hong knocked Li Diam's long spear far away, shaking the entire dojo. The system panel popped up with a notification, defeated a higher-level opponent. Martial arts value plus 35. To Hong thought to himself, I see. So even a normal spar can earn me martial arts value. From now on, I can spar with more people. Li Diam knelt on the floor, stunned. No way. This is absolutely impossible. He reached the mastery realm of the Raging Sea Spear Technique that fast. His eyes were bloodshot with resentment. Then what about me all these years? In a burst of madness, he lost control and rushed forward to throw a punch. Then what was all my hard training for? But just as he was about to reach To Hong, a stern voice rang out, Enough, stop! Li Diam froze in place, anxiously calling out, Master? Suddenly, a loud smack was heard. The instructor slapped Li Diam hard across the face and yelled, You can't even face defeat yet. You dare call yourself a martial artist? Li Diam stood frozen in shock. A red handprint was visible on his face. His eyes filled with bewilderment. The instructor looked at the spear stuck in the floor and thought to himself in amazement, he only watched my demonstration once, and he already reached the mastery realm of the Raging Sea Spear Technique. Not even the geniuses in the imperial or magic capitals are this ridiculously talented. He immediately pushed Li Diam's head down, forcing him to bow and apologize. He then said to To Hong, Li Diam is talented but too arrogant. It's a good thing for a genius like you to teach him a lesson. Little brother, it's my fault for not teaching him well. Please forgive us. To Hong watched calmly, but inwardly he was thinking, wow, this old guy changes his tune fast. Leaving the dojo, To Hong walked quietly down the deserted night street. I'm exhausted today, but what I gained was totally worth it. He opened his status panel. He checked the sparkling display with a satisfied smile. Not only did I learn the Rushing Thunder Fist and the Raging Sea Spear Technique, I also earned a decent amount of martial arts value, standing in front of the gate of Star City No. 1 High School. He pondered thoughtfully. The school exam is only a few days away. All the well-off students have already prepared high-grade alloy weapons. I need to get a weapon for the exam soon, too. To Hong clenched his fist, his eyes filled with determination. Using a spear feels really natural. From now on, I should focus on spear techniques. I need to buy an alloy spear. An image of a beautiful spear appeared in his mind, but he immediately sighed at the meager amount of money he had. He didn't even have enough for his aunt's medical bills, let alone an expensive alloy weapon. The price tag showed 6.98. He stood in front of a store with a worried expression. He sighed. Is there any other way to make money? Suddenly, an advertisement on a screen caught his attention. In the wilderness outside Star City, the number of feral beasts is increasing daily. The city lord is recruiting martial artists to hunt them down. The rewards are extremely generous. To Hong's eyes suddenly lit up with hope. Hunting feral beasts outside the city, huh? That night, he returned to the old apartment complex where his family lived. Inside, his aunt was worriedly scolding his uncle. Look at you, didn't little Hong give you a sum of money last time? Why do you keep working yourself to death? Little Hong is too young. There's no reason to put the entire family's burden on his shoulders, the uncle replied. I need to earn more while I still can and save more for the kids. To Hong walked into the house and said gently, Uncle, Auntie, I'm home. His uncle replied, Little Hong, you're back. Seeing his aunt working, he quickly took over and said, Auntie, let me do that? His aunt smiled warmly. Oh, this boy. I've told you that you need to rest when you come home. While helping his uncle brew medicine, To Hong advised, Uncle, I can earn money now. You don't need to work so hard anymore. It would be better if you stayed home to take care of Auntie. His uncle sighed and replied, "That would be nice. But I'm not used to being idle, son." He gave a thumbs up and smiled brightly to reassure Tahong, "Don't worry, I'm just earning a little for daily living expenses. I won't overwork myself." His aunt also looked at him gently and added, "You'll need a lot of money for your martial arts training later. Your uncle and I want to save as much as possible for you." Tahong silently looked at the money pouch, his heart filled with emotion and torment. Uncle and auntie, they're too used to these difficult days. Unless I earn enough for them to live comfortably forever, they will never agree to rest and recover. His face turned cold and determined. I absolutely cannot miss this opportunity to make money hunting feral beasts. Standing on the rooftop under the night sky, he began to operate his system. But the wilderness is very dangerous. To be safe, I should first increase my strength as much as possible. I'll pour all the martial arts value I just got into my vitality. Click, click, click. He sat in meditation as a fiery red aura enveloped his body. Vitality 95.2. Just one more step to becoming a true martial artist. 2 days later at the school's gymnasium, 10:40 p.m. Tahong was sprawled on the floor, breathing heavily, but with a look of satisfaction. It took 2 whole days, but I've finally mastered all my techniques. Rushing Thunder Fist, Vajra Fist, Floating Light Palm, and Void Stepping, all at the perfection realm. He closed his eyes, sweat streaming down his face. Preparations are complete. It's time to leave the city. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Saturday, Star City Martial Artist Base. Tahong stood before the giant fortress. I'm finally here. This place is really far. Entering the base, he looked around in a daze. I've seen it on TV many times, but this is my first time visiting the martial artist base in person. He walked through the bustling crowd of warriors. The kind of martial artists you rarely see in public are everywhere here. It's so noisy. Tahong opened a guidebook and read silently. Unranked Feral Beast, 300 stellar coins each. Early Stage Tier 1 Feral Beast, 1,000 stellar coins each. Mid-Stage Tier 1, 3,000. Late Stage Tier 1, 5,000. Early Stage Tier 2 Feral Beast. His face fell when he saw the next rule. After killing a feral beast, you must cut off its left ear as proof. Otherwise, it won't be counted. Seriously, how primitive. He looked over at the payment counter and saw a martial artist handing over a sack full of beast ears. Hey, beautiful. Help me calculate how much this pile is worth. That bag must be full of the left ears of feral beasts. Right. Suddenly, a shout rang out, startling everyone. Get out of the way! Everyone move it! An arrogant, blonde-haired young man walked through, surrounded by bodyguards. Can't you all see that young Master Ye is here? Tahong squinted at them suspiciously. That outfit and aura? Why does he remind me of that white fox guy from the underground arena? The people around began to whisper angrily, always acting so high and mighty. If his uncle wasn't the manager of this base, I would have beaten him up a long time ago. I heard he got beaten to a pulp a few days ago. Serves him right. Really? No wonder I haven't seen him around lately. Tahong quietly watched the arrogant group's figures. As he passed by the so-called young master, Ye smirked with smugness and disdain. Tahong's gaze suddenly turned sharp as if he had realized something interesting. He then quickly left, thinking, the danger comes not only from the monsters but also from people. I have to be really careful. He arrived at the control gate. The guard looked at him doubtfully. This young, and it's your first time here, and you're planning to enter the wilderness alone? Tahong calmly replied, yes. 1. Watching the teenager's back as he walked into the tunnel, the guard sighed in exasperation. 2. Another kid who's not afraid of death. He has no idea what he's up against. Leaving the whispers behind him, Tahong officially stepped out of the base and onto the lush green grass of the outskirts. He ventured alone into the deep, ancient forest where the canopies of old trees blocked out the sun. Tahong stopped, rolled up his sleeves, his eyes showing clear determination. This trip, I will definitely return with a bag full of spoils. 2 hours later, in the quiet forest, he leaned against a tree, drinking water and looking puzzled. I still haven't seen a single feral beast. Could it be that the ones at the edge of the forest have all been wiped out? Not wanting to waste any time, he immediately sped up, rushing deeper. Let's head deeper into the forest and see. Swoosh. Suddenly, Tahong froze, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. He heard a strange noise up ahead. Rustle. From within the bushes, a large white wolf with blazing red eyes slowly stepped out, growling menacingly. Russell. He quickly identified his opponent. Based on what he'd learned, this had to be the early Stage 1 vicious beast from the textbooks, the illusory moon wolf. This is the first time I've seen a live one. The wolf bared its sharp fangs and let out a roar that echoed through the forest. Roar. It suddenly coiled and leaped forward to attack, a long howl tearing through the air. The beast swung its sharp claws, lunging straight for To Hong at incredible speed. Swoosh, with a lightning-fast flip, he skillfully dodged the attack. He evaded the monster's pounce by a hair's breadth. Swoosh immediately. To Hong clenched his fist as brilliant golden arcs of lightning erupted powerfully around his hand. He threw a thunderous punch straight into the wolf's stomach. Rushing thunder fist. Watching the wolf collapse. To Hong looked at his trembling hand in astonishment. So this is what it feels like to fight a monster. It's way more intense than I imagined. A confident smile spread across his face as he realized how much his strength had grown. With my current power, I can take down an early Stage 1 vicious beast in a single blow. I wonder how I'll do when facing a mid-Stage 1. Instantly, another roar echoed out as a giant bear appeared. A mid-Stage 1 vicious beast. The raging black bear. Thump. Without even looking back, he casually threw a punch. The bear collapsed on the spot. Standing proudly over the bear's corpse, To Hong silently assessed the situation. It seems as long as I don't provoke any Stage 2 vicious beasts, I won't be in too much danger. He calmly used a knife to cut off the bear's ear as proof. That's another 3,000 NDT in prize money. Suddenly, the system had displayed an important notification, reminding him that his accumulated martial value was sufficient to break through to the martial artist realm. Please upgrade as soon as possible. To Hong was overjoyed. Finally, I can break through and become a true martial artist. Suddenly, a powerful roar that shook the entire forest rang out, startling him. Rumble. To Hong stood up, his gaze sharp as he looked in the direction of the sound. This powerful aura, what kind of vicious beast is that? He immediately used his footwork to rush over and investigate. Let's go take a look. Swoosh! Swoosh! As soon as he arrived, his eyes widened in horror at the sight. Before him was a giant python emitting a terrifying evil purple aura. A late Stage 1 vicious beast. The Black Jade. Great Python. Two armored martial artists were shouting in despair, "Ah, ah!" as they tried to fight off the colossal monster. Thud. One of them was sent flying, crashing hard against the cliff wall. Meanwhile, To Hong watched from above with a pensive expression. The giant python's earth-shattering roar forced To Hong to focus intently. He immediately shot down to help, gliding between the shattered rocks to confront the Black Jade Great Python. Swoosh! The monstrous beast swung its massive tail across the battlefield with terrifying speed. Slash! To Hong struggled to dodge, inwardly terrified by its power. It's too fast. Thwack! Crash! Unable to evade in time, he took a direct hit and was sent flying. Fresh blood splattered onto the ground after the attack. To Hong coughed violently in pain. Cough! Cough! He staggered to his knees beside the unconscious martial artist, his face grave. To Hong raised a hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes grew sharp. He firmly gripped the spear of the fallen martial artist and said softly, "Let me borrow your spear for a moment." He stood proudly facing the giant monster. To Hong took a defensive stance with the spear in hand. The python opened its maw full of sharp teeth and let out a night-shattering roar. Roar! To Hong began to accelerate, charging forward. He calmly analyzed in his head. To kill a normal, late Stage 1 vicious beast, you'd need several martial artists of the same level working together, but all of my martial skills have reached the perfection realm, and I could easily kill a mid-Stage 1 raging black bear. He moved like a phantom. Swoosh! Swoosh! Each of his steps was unpredictable as he closed in on the monster in an instant. He leaped into the air, launching a decisive blow. That means I currently have the ability to fight this Black Jade Great Python. Void stepping footwork perfection. A deep blue stream of energy enveloped the spear as he executed the Raging Sea. Spear technique perfection. Stab. The spear tip pierced through the tough scales. It lodged deep in the monster's body. The Black Jade. Great Python roared in agony from the severe wound. Roar. To Hong flipped onto its back, continuing to move nimbly to find an opening. Next, swoosh! His hand tightened on the spear shaft, pouring all his strength into the attack. He landed on the ground, and that mystical water aura flared up again, surrounding his body. To Hong's eyes flashed brilliantly under his dark hair. He growled, "Again! Whoosh! Boom!" A space-tearing thrust shot straight towards the giant python's head. The python shrieked pitifully as it was repeatedly struck by thunderous blows from the young man. Roar. Illusory images of To Hong appeared everywhere, attacking relentlessly, leaving the beast no time to react. Swoosh! Thump! Standing in the middle of the desolate battlefield, he panted, thinking the size difference is just too great. It's hard to land a finishing blow in one go. He narrowed his eyes, observing as he prepared for the final strike. So I can only weaken it as much as possible, then find an opening to deliver a fatal blow. To Hong channeled all his power into his fist. Lightning exploded, thundering throughout the forest, rushing thunder fist perfection. Boom, boom, boom! To Hong quickly retreated after the successful attack. He calculated silently after the successful attack. I have to immediately create some distance from this giant python. He focused on its every move, looking for another opening to attack again, and then quickly get away. His breathing grew heavy, and he was drenched in sweat, but his eyes remained determined. This fighting style is exhausting, but it's safe. Ha! 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 The beast was also tiring out. Growl. To Hong observed, "Looks like it's reaching its limit, too. Just a few more clashes and I can take it down." He gripped the wooden spear tightly and charged forward bravely. "Let's go." Swoosh! A wind-tearing hiss suddenly sounded from behind, forcing To Hong to pay attention. He whipped his head around, his eyes full of vigilance, and shouted, "Who's there?" A large burly man wearing a red mask appeared out of nowhere, laughing loudly as he charged. "Ha ha ha ha!" The man threw a blazing, thunderous punch. To Hong hurriedly raised his arms to block, but the force was too strong. Slam! A shocking explosion rang out. To Hong was sent flying, tumbling across the ground. He clutched his chest in pain, coughing violently. "Cough, cough!" He struggled to get up. Looking at the approaching figures, he asked resentfully, "Who are you people?" Young Master Diep sauntered out with his lackeys, his voice dripping with arrogance. "We meet again! What do you say you hand over this black jade python to me?" The group of strange martial artists surrounded To Hong, who was kneeling on the ground. A thick killing intent enveloped the entire area. Young Master Diep curled his lip into a smirk. "I remember the first time I saw you at the gate. When I saw you dared to leave the city alone, I thought for sure you'd end up as a corpse out here." He glanced over at the python, which was lying there on the brink of death. "I didn't expect you to be this lucky. Not only did you survive, but you even managed to stumble upon a black jade python on its last breath like this." To Hong was stunned as he realized their intention. "He's saying I just found this python. That means they just got here. All 5 of them are martial artists. There are too many of them. I can't take them head on." The huge enforcer lunged forward, brandishing his fist threateningly. "Hey, punk, didn't you hear what young Master Diep said? The young master wants this python. If you know what's good for you, get lost." To Hong lowered his head, his eyes burning with fury. His hands clenched in frustration under his dark hair. He shot to his feet as crimson lightning erupted from his hands once more. "I was pushed back earlier only because I was sneak attacked. Do you people really think I can't beat all of you?" Boom! A lightning fist shot out, colliding head-on with the large masked enemy. He was horrified as he felt the terrifying force. What this power is insane. With a decisive move and astonishing speed, To Hong unleashed a blow that instantly knocked his opponent down. Thud Li Jim and the lackeys behind him stared in shock at their comrade lying collapsed in the grass. Young Master Diep narrowed his eyes, examining To Hong's last move closely. "The Diamond Fist. Incredible. So it really is you, Ox Demon King." To Hong was startled to hear his title from the White Fox Underground Arena. Young Master Diep took off his mask, revealing a handsome but sinister face. "You're the first person who's ever dared to humiliate me in front of so many people." He coldly ordered his men, "Charge, kill him." Knowing he couldn't defeat the mob with his energy depleted, To Hong quickly darted away. Young Master Diep yelled, "After him!" They searched frantically through the forest. "Where did he go?" "The forest ahead is dense, perfect for an ambush. Everyone be careful." A subordinate holding a blade snorted confidently. There are so many of us. Are we really supposed to be scared of some kid? Whoosh! A shadow flashed past the man's back like lightning, giving him no time to react. To Hong's eyes glinted with a cold blue light as he appeared right in his target's line of sight. Boom! A fatal blow slammed straight into the back of his neck, causing the subordinate to collapse instantly. He lay motionless on the ground, blood from his mask pooling onto the green grass. Young Master Dieppe started to feel uneasy. Sweat streamed down his face. Damn it, this guy is too fast! Another underling cried out in alarm upon seeing To Hong's technique. Young Master Dieppe, that's the Rushing Thunder Fist 4. No, the Rushing Thunder Fist's 9-fold resonance. Not even a level 3 martial artist can master the Rushing Thunder Fist to perfection. Young Master Dieppe shouted to hide his fear. Shut up. A perfected Diamond Fist and a perfected Rushing Thunder Fist. How can something so absurd be possible? From a high branch, To Hong silently held his spear, observing his prey below. If I hadn't just fought that python and exhausted so much of my vital energy, I could have crushed them head-on. He narrowed his eyes, gathered his strength, and threw the spear forward. Right now, the only option is to eliminate them one by one when I get the chance. The spear plunged into the ground. To Hong remained silently hidden on the high branch. Patiently observing from above, he suddenly dove down like a phantom, his eyes flashing with a brilliant blue electric light, startling the subordinate at the rear. Thwack! A lightning kick slammed directly into the enemy's head. The impact was so powerful it seemed to shake the very air around them. Fresh blood splattered as To Hong took down yet another henchman right before the astonished eyes of his comrades who witnessed the scene. A trembling underling begged, Young Master Dieppe, that kid is too strong, let's run. But young Master Dieppe coldly snapped back. Run! Are you kidding me? He furiously swung his massive blade, roaring in rage. Today I will definitely kill him. Another subordinate, before he could even understand what was happening, felt To Hong's figure flash past him. Wham! He was sent flying by a single blow like a kite with its string cut, leaving young Master Dieppe standing stunned in the middle of the forest. He gritted his teeth, sweat pouring down his face, unable to believe his eyes. Damn it! In just a few days! How could this kid have gotten so much stronger, appearing and disappearing like a ghost? To Hong closed in right behind him, startling young Master Dieppe, who whipped around. He panicked, flailing his hands wildly at the empty air. Damn you, damn you! Just then, To Hong leaped back to a distance, shouldering his spear with a mocking look in his eyes. Finally, it's your turn. Cornered young Master Dieppe played his trump card. Don't think you have me backed into a corner. He immediately unleashed an attack. Void Shattering Finger. He aimed at To Hong. Crack. An incredibly powerful spear-like energy beam swept past him. The aftershock of the attack was so strong that a nearby ancient tree shattered and collapsed to the ground. Young Master Dieppe roared repeatedly, unleashing the attack, his finger erupting with deep blue energy. Void Shattering Finger, Void Shattering Finger, Void Shattering Finger. As he dodged, To Hong carefully observed his opponent's technique. Such immense power. The level of this martial skill is high. Could it be a B rank? He pointed frantically at him, his face twisted in a threatening grimace. You little brat, show your true form for me if you dare to hurt me. When I get back, I'll have your entire family killed. That sentence struck a nerve with To Hong. His face fell into shadow, his eyes blazing with killing intent. Kill my entire family! Whoosh! To Hong shot forward at a terrifying speed, creating streaks of blue lightning that tore through the old forest. Utterly terrified, he began to use his family's influence to save his own life. My uncle is the supervisor of the martial artist base my father is. Suddenly, To Hong appeared right behind him. Like a grim reaper with crackling red energy exploding from his hands, To Hong spoke coldly. You know, I actually preferred that arrogant look you had before. He threw a direct punch straight into young Master Dieppe's face. The blow grotesquely twisted his face. It was so powerful it launched him into the air, splattering blood everywhere. Young Master Dieppe's body flew through the air and smashed violently into the distant cliff face. A thick cloud of dust rose. Amidst the haze, To Hong stood firm, his breathing heavy but filled with oppressive power. Huff, huff. He stepped towards his defeated opponent, his entire body radiating a crimson fiery aura. You should not have threatened my family. Young Master Dieppe knelt on the ground. His face covered in blood, he groaned in despair. How can you be this strong?
This is impossible. You're not even a martial artist.
Young Master Diep looked at the approaching To Hong and roared in fury. What kind of monster are you? Meanwhile, the python. It had been stalking him from behind. He suddenly froze and glanced back, and in the next instant the snake's tail slammed down, crushing his entire body to a pulp. To Hong, spear in hand, faced the roaring python. He silently noted that he had wasted too much time fighting it and that giant python. It had truly recovered its strength. At that moment, young Master Diep's henchman regained consciousness and began to panic. Damn it, that kid is too weird. Where's young Master Diep? Has he taken care of that kid yet? One of the group squinted cautiously as he heard the sound of urgent thudding footsteps. To Hong suddenly appeared, charging straight towards two of the henchmen, startling them. You little brat! You finally decided to show your face. I won't let you get away with this. Get out of the way, quick. Abruptly, the giant python lunged from behind, causing all of them to stare wide-eyed in terror and scream. The monster snatched one of the henchmen in its jaws. A blood-curdling scream echoed out. Ah, ah! The system displayed a notification. Indirectly killed an enemy martial artist. Received 30 martial points. Crash! The python slammed another man down. The earth-shaking impact was followed by a notification. Indirectly killed an enemy martial artist. Received 30 martial points. To Hong was secretly delighted. I can't believe I can get martial points this way too. He glided through the dust sweat pouring down his determined face. He used the void-stepping technique to leap high into the air and began to calculate. After all these battles, my martial points are finally high enough to break through and become a true martial artist. The python opened its mouth to attack. To Hong dodged while searching for an escape route. If only I could find a safe place to break through right now. His gaze fell on a small opening. The corner of his mouth curved up slightly. Perfect. That cave will help me. He moved as fast as the wind with the ferocious giant python in hot pursuit. Whoosh, whoosh, boom! A massive shockwave erupted at the entrance to the stone cave. Dust billowed everywhere. To Hong pressed himself against the dark cave wall, breathing heavily as he watched the monster's silhouette outside. Huff. Huff. The python was frantically trying to shove its head through the entrance. It let out a deafening roar. Roar. It was trying to force its way in. Calmly, To Hong opened the system panel right in front of the screaming beast, named To Hong, Vitality 96+, Spirit 23+, Martial Points 504. He tapped his finger repeatedly on the plus sign next to Vitality, screaming inwardly, Hurry up! Hurry up! Hurry up! A crimson aura of fire exploded around his body. My vitality is surging. My whole body feels scorching hot, as if lava is flowing through my veins instead of blood. The system screen turned a brilliant red, announcing Vitality 100. The python outside also sensed the threat from this surge of power. A blinding golden light erupted. The system notification rang out. Breakthrough successful, achieved level 1 martial artist. To Hong stood proudly amidst the red flames. I've finally become a true martial artist. He clenched his flaming fists and looked at the terrified, retreating monster. Now it's my turn. To Hong shot forward with space-tearing speed, his eyes flashing with an oppressive crimson light. Kaboom! An extremely powerful punch slammed into the python's body, terrifying it. A brilliant golden pillar of light like a bolt from the heavens crashed down on the monster's head. A pathetic groan echoed out. Fresh blood poured from the python's mouth, its eyes lifeless and filled with pain. To Hong gathered his momentum. Channeling all his power into his fist, he threw another follow-up blow. Diamond Fist. He unleashed the decisive punch, smashing it straight into the head of the giant, desperately screaming monster. But just then, the python immediately launched an attack, forcing him to halt. He gritted his teeth, the old trace of blood still at the corner of his mouth. To Hong tightened his grip on his spear. Surging power coiled around him, warping the space nearby. Time to die! He brought his spear down on the monster in a heaven-sent blow. A powerful blue aura erupted. The giant python roared in pain one last time as the blue electricity from the spear shattered its consciousness. It didn't stop screaming. To Hong continued to pour all his strength into his fist, which blazed with a golden aura. Rushing Thunder Fist. Boom! The punch slammed straight into the beast's skull, making it shriek pathetically. Ah! The blow was so powerful it drove the black jade great python's head straight into the ground, creating a deep crater. After the horrifying finishing move, the dust gradually settled, returning silence to the forest. Huff, huff, huff. Standing proudly on the giant python's corpse, he looked at the system notification. Martial points, plus 92. Even though this great python was already heavily injured, the fact that I could face its attack head-on just now, he sat down and pulled out a knife intending to collect his spoils, but suddenly froze in confusion. Come to think of it, to collect the bounty for hunting a ferocious beast, I have to cut off its left ear as proof. But a python doesn't have ears. What am I supposed to do? Whatever. Anyway, I should head back quickly. Tahong left the battlefield, walking silently through the gray, rocky valley. He slung the spear over his shoulder as he walked past, where the bodies of Diepfeng and his men lay. Thump! Thump! He looked at the man who just a moment ago had arrogantly threatened to kill his entire family, now lying motionless. He commented coldly, "An ending like this is still letting you off too easy." Suddenly remembering something, he bent down to rummage through the guy's bag. I wonder if I can find that high-rank martial skill he used earlier. Rustle, rustle. He pulled out a worn-out notebook. His eyes lit up when he read the secret manual's name, Void-Piercing Finger. As night fell, Tahong found an ideal hiding spot in a deep valley. He used large boulders to seal the cave entrance, to ensure he wouldn't be disturbed. Tahong sat by the flickering campfire and focused on reading the manual. I've already memorized the entire introductory method for the Void-Piercing Finger. Now it's time to use the system. To master it quickly, he closed his eyes and entered the system space, summoning a training clone. Let's begin. Appear. The clone immediately lunged forward, unleashing finger force attacks that tore through the air towards Tahong. Swoosh. Tahong threw himself into a frenzied training session. The status bars jumped continuously. Void-Piercing Finger, 51%, 63%, 85%, 97%. After a fiery clash, the system announced Void-Piercing Finger Introductory Level 1%. He staggered back, coughing up blood from the immense pressure. Cough, 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 cough. He wiped away the blood, looking at the manual in astonishment. It's truly worthy of being a B-rank martial skill. Even at just the introductory level, it creates this much pressure. It's time to find a monster to test its power on. 3 days later, a ferocious giant bear appeared, its growls cutting through the forest's silence. Tahong leaped into the air, his fingertip gathering a deep blue energy, aiming straight for his target. Void-Piercing Finger swoosh. The attack pierced through the beast's body instantly. The system immediately displayed a notification, Void-Piercing Finger, great success. Void-Piercing Finger perfection. He smiled with satisfaction. I finally reached the perfection stage. This power is truly worthy of the title of a B-rank martial skill. It's time to head back. The scene shifts to the martial artist base in Star City. A crowd of martial artists is buzzing at the checkout counter. My God. The total is 230,000 UN. Those guys from the Thunder Squad are insane. To kill this many monsters. This amount of loot is equal to a whole month of my normal work. Words of praise echoed everywhere. So awesome. There isn't a single unranked ferocious beast. They're all rank 1, and there are even a few high-level ones too. At that moment, Tahong quietly placed a giant sack on the counter. The inventory clerk, horrified, read aloud, Rank 1 early stage 72, mid-stage 83, late stage 17. In total, the total reward is 406,000 Blue Star currency. Seeing everyone around him frozen in shock, Tahong broke into a nervous sweat, silently regretting. Did I kill too many? This is way too attention-grabbing. I should have hunted a little less. Suddenly, a loud explosion came from the base's central building. Rumble, rumble. Everyone ran out in alarm to see. What the hell was that? Is the base under attack? No way. There are a lot of high-level martial artists guarding that place. Base supervisor, Ye Qi Yefeng's uncle, stepped out with a murderous look on his face, shouting, Lock down the base immediately. Don't let a single fly escape. The guards shouted in unison. Yes, sir. A subordinate ran over breathlessly and asked, Supervisor Ye, what happened? Ye Qi gritted his teeth and roared in utter fury. My nephew Ye Feng, along with the 4 martial artists who followed him, they're all dead. The crowd of martial artists was stunned, murmuring amongst themselves. Young Master Ye was actually killed, and an entire group of 5 was completely wiped out. However many were secretly pleased, whispering to each other, "He deserved it. Who hasn't been extorted by Ye Feng before? If it weren't for his family background, I would have dealt with him myself a long time ago." That menace finally got what was coming to him. Ye Qi glared at the crowd with eyes like daggers and gave a cold command. A B-rank secret manual was lost from Ye Feng's body. All martial artists must be searched to eliminate suspects before anyone is allowed to leave. Standing in the crowd of martial artists, Hong observed quietly, calculating in his head. Based on the bodies, it's clear they were killed by the giant python, but there's no way they can trace it back to me. He walked with a calm demeanor, trying to slip through the cordon of officers who were locking down the base. Suddenly, Supervisor Ye Qi's voice boomed, "Attention," making Hong freeze with anxiety. Wait a minute. Have they already targeted me? The crowd of martial artists parted to either side, making way as Ye Qi and his procession of grim-faced, black-clad bodyguards walked straight towards him. Ye Qi looked at Hong, his murderous aura radiating in shades of red. "Little brother, I heard you single-handedly took down 400,000 yuan worth of ferocious beasts. That's some impressive skill." He just stood there. His face was grim and menacing. The secretary standing next to him spoke with doubt. "I've checked. At best, he's only rank 1 early stage. How could he possibly kill that many? He must have picked up young Master Ye Feng's backpack. Search him immediately." 2 bodyguards with flaming fists approached menacingly. "Don't resist, kid, or else we won't be so courteous." Zing. A streak of light as fast as lightning shot past the guard's face, scaring the soul out of him. Hong had already taken a stance with his spear in hand, leaving the guards stunned. What, that spear-drawing speed? I couldn't even see it clearly. He looked coldly into Ye Qi's eyes and declared, "I am a student of Star City's #1 high school. Are you really going to search me?" Ye Qi narrowed his eyes, calculating. The principal of #1 High is famously protective of his students. He's not someone to mess with. But this kid is really suspicious. He looked at Hong's unyielding expression, then paused, thinking, if he really did hunt all those monsters, he is definitely a genius. Falsely accusing a genius could bring about very bad consequences. Ye Qi changed his tone, stepping closer to apply pressure. "My nephew was ambushed, and our family's ancestral martial arts technique was stolen. I must find the culprit, and I expect you to cooperate." Su Hong calmly replied, "I hope you won't frame an innocent person." To de-escalate the situation, Ye Qi made an offer that reeked of money. "As compensation for the search, how about I give you 10,000 RMB? Su Hong held up 3 fingers, his gaze sharpening. "Make it 30,000. Ye Feng was killed by the giant python. As long as they don't find the secret manual on me, they can't blame me for it." Ye Qi nodded decisively. "Deal." 2 guards began to meticulously search Su Hong all over. After a while of finding nothing, a guard shrugged and reported, "There's nothing on him." Ye Qi waved his hand. "That's enough. Give him 30,000 and let him go." Walking away from the checkpoint, Su Hong smirked as he recalled burning the secret manual in the forest. "Good thing I cleaned up thoroughly, or I would have been in big trouble today." Behind him, Ye Qi's voice was still roaring orders to his subordinates to keep searching. "No one is to leave until every suspect is cleared." Meanwhile, Su Hong had already made his own plan. "First, I need to take a shower and change. Then I'll go to the Martial Artist Association for an appraisal and registration. I need to get a cultivation technique as soon as possible." A moment later, he was settled in a luxurious room at the Martial Artist Base's Inn, sitting cross-legged on the bed. He stared in amazement at the system panel that appeared. 534 martial value, that's a lot. I've been too busy practicing the void-breaking finger and hunting beasts these past few days to even notice. Name Su Hong. Vitality 103 plus. Spirit 23 plus. Physique mortal body 6% plus. Martial skills. Void-breaking finger perfected. Raging sea spear technique perfected. Rushing thunder. Fist perfected. Fleeting light. Palm perfected. Void. Treading steps perfected. Martial value 534. His gaze stopped on the other stats. But spirit and physique still haven't been upgraded. I have no idea what effects they have. Anyway, I've got plenty of points now, so let's just see what happens. He began pressing the plus to add points to spirit. Spirit plus 0.1, plus 0.1. It doesn't feel like anything changed after increasing spirit. He switched to increasing his physique. Mortal body. Physique plus 0.1. The increase in strength is so obvious. Let's increase it a little more. A new brilliant status panel appeared. Name Su Hong. Vitality 123 plus. Spirit 26.5. Physique mortal body 36.1%. Martial skills. Void breaking finger perfected. Raging sea spear technique perfected. Vajra fist perfected fleeting light. Palm perfected void. Treading steps perfected. Martial value 0. Su-hong continued to calculate. That's enough for physique for now. Now I'll pour 200 martial value into vitality and put the rest into spirit. Instantly, a powerful burst of fiery red energy exploded around him. It felt as if there was a bottomless wellspring of power surging up from within my body. Under the influence of the immense spiritual energy, Su-hong's body gradually recovered, reaching a completely new state of power. Su-hong sat cross-legged on the bed. He let out a sigh of relief as his body returned to normal. Phew. Good thing it recovered. If I'd gotten stuck in this muscle-bound monster form, I don't know how I would have explained it to people I know. 1 hour later at the Star City Martial Artists Association, Su-hong walked up to the reception desk and spoke politely. "Hello. I'm here to take the martial artist appraisal test." The receptionist replied quickly, "Of course. A staff member will take you there right away." On the way, the guide looked at the young man doubtfully. "You're this young and you're already here for the appraisal. Is this your first time? To pass the Level 1 martial artist exam, you'll need a vitality of 100 and a combat power of over 1,000. Good luck." Su-hong replied softly, "Thank you." His silhouette slowly disappeared into the distance amidst the whispers of the people around. Is that kid by himself? He doesn't have a master with him. At that age, he's probably just here to try his luck. Suddenly, Su-hong's eyes turned ice cold. An enormous shockwave exploded right after. It made the entire area tremble. Boom! Inside the examination room, the examiner was loudly announcing another candidate's results. Fangia Vitality 102. Combat Power 992. Fail. That candidate yelled in frustration. Damn it, I was so close. The examiner continued calling the next name. Li Ming Vitality 105. Pass. Next, the combat power test. Li Ming stepped up to the modern combat power measuring machine. Under the curious gazes of the crowd of martial artists, he roared, "Ha!" and threw a thunderous punch that shook the entire training hall. Boom, boom, boom! The numbers on the electronic screen flashed. It was followed by a resounding announcement, Combat Power 1763, pass, ding. The audience began to buzz with praise. 1763 combat power, that's almost at the peak for a level 1 martial artist. Isn't that Jiang Ming's disciple from the Raging Thunder Dojo? No wonder he's so good. He even used the Rushing Thunder Fist. Su-hong watched from a distance, hand on his chin, wondering to himself, Jiang Ming's disciple. Wasn't his disciple named Li Yan? Just how many disciples does that old man have? It's your turn, kid. The examiner's call cut through his thoughts, directed at Su-hong. The previous candidate gave him a smug, disdainful look. To dare come for the appraisal at this age. Only a genius like me could pull that off. To think someone my age could compare to me. But in the next moment, his eyes widened in horror as he stared at the machine's screen. What the hell is this? Wait, is the vital energy meter broken? How could his vital energy be this high? The examiner, equally stunned, announced, Su-hong, vital energy 123, pass. This made the other guy roar in frustration. That's impossible! He struggled to regain his composure. Sweat streamed down his face. Calm down, calm down. High vital energy doesn't mean anything. Combat power is what matters. Combat power is everything. The group proceeded to the central area, and the examiner ordered, begin the next round. Begin the combat power test. Standing before the machine, Su-hong clenched his fist, silently assessing his new strength. He had broken through to become a martial artist, and with his upgraded physique, his power had skyrocketed. Perhaps using just 4/10 of my power will be enough for this test, but it would be a pain if I hit too lightly and failed. He narrowed his eyes, deciding to add a little more force. All right, I'll use 5/10 of my power just to be safe. Wham! A powerful direct punch slammed straight into the red center of the machine. An explosive force tore through the air, and the terrifying strength sent the heavy machine flying off its stand. It shot across the floor like an arrow. Crash, boom! The machine slammed hard into the lab wall and exploded to everyone's absolute astonishment. All the martial artists present stood with their jaws dropped, unable to believe their eyes. Did he just punch the machine right off its stand? That strength is insane. Wait, he didn't even use any martial arts techniques, did he? The smoke and dust cleared. The display showed an unbelievable number, 3004. The combat power standard for a late-stage first-rank martial artist is only around 3000.
I can't believe it. That number is ridiculous.
On the observation balcony above, a staff member frantically reported to his superior, "Sir, it's that kid again. This is a real monster." The middle-aged man looked down at Su Hong with a very stern gaze. So it's him. No wonder. Meanwhile, in the highest office of the association, the brilliant sunset glow streamed into a luxurious office. The president of the Stardust City Martial Arts Association, Wu Lingxian, was anxiously scratching her head. Damn it, that neighboring Sun City branch keeps producing geniuses and showing off non-stop. Showing off my foot. If Stardust City doesn't produce a few geniuses soon, I'm going to lose this seat of mine. The president's office door burst open. A staff member rushed in breathlessly to report, President, a monster just appeared during the martial artist assessment." This startled Wu Lingxian so much that she dropped her phone. He continued in a terrified voice, "An early-stage first-rank martial artist, using only pure strength, punched the combat power machine off its stand and hit the 3000 mark." Wu Lingxian was speechless at the shocking news. Cut to the central hall of the Martial Arts Association. The atmosphere here was as bustling and noisy as usual. A staff member was leading Su Hong and said gently, "Su Hong, little brother, let me take you to the second floor to register for your martial artist card first, then we'll go get your subsidy." The young man replied politely, "Thank you." From above, a pair of shiny black high heels came to a stop. Wu Lingxian looked down and commanded, "Your job here is done. I will handle this kid personally." The staff member was flustered. Huh. He looked up in astonishment. The president appeared before him, an imposing and captivating figure. The head of the association, Wu Lingxian, approached and looked straight into the young man's eyes. "You're Su Hong, correct? I am Wu Lingxian, president of the Stardust City branch of the Martial Arts Association. Follow me." Su Hong gave a slight nod. "Yes, President." But inwardly he was thinking, so this is the association president. I heard she's a fifth-rank martial artist. She doesn't look like what I imagined. The two of them entered the president's office, a large and luxurious room, bathed in the afternoon sun. Wu Lingxian sat down comfortably, crossing her legs. "You're a student at number 1 high school, aren't you? That old fox Li Chengshan was just complaining to me a moment ago. He said the school only managed to produce 2 ordinary first-rank martial artists this year, and yet they were hiding a monster like you." Su Hong broke into a cold sweat and asked awkwardly, Why did you bring me to your office?" "I just came to register as a martial artist, get my subsidy, and receive a guidance technique." Wu Lingxian waved her hand reassuringly. "Relax. I've already told my staff to handle your martial artist certification and monthly subsidy." She stood up, her powerful gaze fixed on him. "As for the guidance technique, I will personally teach you." "Right now, how much do you understand about guidance techniques?" Su Hong thought for a moment, then replied, "The textbook says that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth has different attributes, and a guidance technique is a method of absorbing that spiritual energy to enhance one's own strength. Absorbing different attributes requires a corresponding guidance technique." A flame ignited in the palm of Wu Lingxian's hand. What the textbook says isn't wrong, but a guidance technique is more than just a cultivation method. For example, the heavenly flame guidance art that I practice primarily absorbs fire attribute spiritual energy. She clenched her flaming fist to illustrate. While it strengthens the body, it also infuses my attacks with the destructive power of the fire attribute. Whoosh! A powerful streak of fire shot out from her hand. If you can externalize your attribute attacks, it can even extend your attack range. But for a first-rank martial artist, forget about covering your fist with an attribute. Just being able to carry a faint trace of it is already very impressive. Su Hong was extremely surprised. Guidance techniques can be used for attacking. I always thought they were just for absorbing spiritual energy to cultivate. The textbooks never mentioned this. Wu Lingxian raised her hand and 7 elemental symbols appeared, shining brilliantly. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth has 7 attributes: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, lightning, and wind. Each type has its own strengths and weaknesses. But in terms of pure offensive power, lightning is first, metal is second, and fire is third. She took out a crimson sphere to test him, wondering what guidance technique he could actually cultivate. It also depends on your affinity, Ta Hong silently understood. I can't just pick any technique I want to practice. Vo Lam Tien held the brightly shining sphere. This is a crystal ball for testing affinity. The larger the glowing area, the higher the affinity. A typical martial artist usually reaches 20 to 30%. My 80% is already considered very high. She handed the sphere to him with an expectant look. But for a genius like him, he'll surely surpass 90%. Tahong took the sphere feeling worried. President Vo became a level 5 martial artist at such a young age. She's an absolute genius and she only has 80%. If I get 90%, that would be a huge exaggeration. Suddenly, blinding rays of light erupted from the sphere. Both of them were stunned, speechless. A brilliant red light enveloped the entire room. Vo Lam Tien shouted excitedly, "It's full! Completely full." A 100% fire attribute affinity. She grabbed Tahong's shoulders, shaking him and asking, "Do you know what this means?" "It means you can absorb fire attribute spirit energy from the heavens and earth with 100% efficiency with absolutely no loss," which made him stammer, "And no!" She proudly used herself as a comparison. "With my 80% affinity, I still lose 20% when I absorb fire spirit energy. That's why I'm a level 5 martial artist and the president of the Star City branch." Vo Lam Tien moved her face close to Tahong's with a meaningful smile. "But your future achievements will definitely surpass mine. I never imagined a small place like Star City. It could produce a monster on par with those from the Magic Capital or the Imperial Capital." Tahong looked at the glowing red sphere and thought, "Fire isn't bad, but I still prefer lightning. If only my lightning attribute affinity was also 100%. Instantly, the sphere turned a brilliant yellow with crackling bolts of lightning. A powerful electric current enveloped the sphere in his hand, as Vo Lam Tien watched in stunned silence. Tahong dazedly reported, "President, my lightning attribute affinity also seems to be 100%. Vo Lam Tien could only hold her breath. She clutched her head, her face etched with shock. For real. A dual fire and lightning affinity of 100%. What kind of monster is this? This is truly a monster. The young man held out a brilliantly glowing green sphere. President, my wind attribute affinity also seems to be 100%. While Vo Lam Tien screamed internally, "Wait a minute! This is ridiculous, isn't it?" A few minutes later, the room became eerily quiet. Vo Lam Tien sat slumped on the sofa. She covered her face, murmuring hopelessly, "Something's not right. How can this be possible? They're all full, all 100%. I must be dreaming." She stood up and looked into the distance, reminiscing about her journey. "I used to think I was a top-tier genius. A level 5 martial artist at 30 is already extremely rare." A massive roaring monster appeared in her memory, mirroring her thoughts. But when I faced someone who defied all the rules, I realized I was just an ordinary person. An image of a warrior descending from the sky to confront the great beast appeared, and to defeat an entity that exists beyond common sense. A mysterious image of Tahong's future self stood proudly on the massive monster's corpse. You need someone who also exists beyond common sense. Just like that, Vo Lam Tien looked at Tahong pensively, thinking, an entity that ordinary people can't possibly comprehend. Tahong narrowed his eyes, calculating. All 7 attributes are at 100% affinity. If I only train in the lightning attribute and ignore the other 6, it feels like such a waste. This is really complicated. He looked directly at Vo Lam Tien and made a bold proposal. "President, could you give me a copy of the guidance techniques for all 7 attributes," leaving her speechless. Vo Lam Tien explained in a serious tone, "A person's energy is limited. No matter how talented you are, it's best to focus on just 1 or at most 2 types. In the past, someone tried to practice all 7 guidance techniques at once. After 15 years, they were still just a level 1 martial artist. Tahong persisted, "I can't decide right now. So I want to try them all before choosing which one to focus on." Vo Lam Tien sighed, finally agreeing. "All right, fine. But you absolutely must not mess around and waste your talent." Remembering something's important, Vo Lam Tien asked, "Tahong, I remember your school's monthly exam is coming up soon, right?" He answered in surprise. "Yes, President. Why do you suddenly ask about that?" She began to explain the recent world situation. The conflicts on the myriad races battlefield are becoming more and more intense. The war between the myriad races and humanity could break out at any moment. Therefore, every nation is pouring all its resources into establishing genius training camps. I want to recommend you for one of them. Vo Lam Tien stated the condition. As long as you take the top spot in your school's monthly exam, I can guarantee you a recommendation. To Hong mumbled, repeating the Myriad Races War, a genius training camp, remembering a painful past. To Hong's eyes became more determined than ever. More than 15 years ago, during the last Myriad Races War, I lost all my relatives except for my uncle and aunt. When I was still a child, I'll do my best. A steely resolve surged in his heart. Uncle, Aunt, I will never let that tragedy happen again. I must become stronger. I must protect everyone around me. Night fell at To Hong's home. A faint yellow light still shone from the family's old apartment. To Hong happily showed the certification card to his relatives. Uncle, Aunt, I've officially become a martial artist. The uncle took the card with trembling hands while the aunt burst into tears of joy. To Hong, you did it. This is wonderful. Our To Hong has really made something of himself. He's so talented. The uncle excitedly laid out a new future for the family. A rank 1 martial artist gets a subsidy of 10,000 yuan every month. From now on, I won't have to work myself to death anymore. Wiping away his tears, the uncle smiled and replied, All right. From now on, To Hong is the pillar of this family. Whatever you say, I'll listen. To Hong looked at his uncle and aunt with a warm and responsible gaze. Don't worry about anything. From this day forward, I will be the one to carry this family. At midnight alone on the rooftop, To Hong sat in meditation surrounded by a blazing aura of fire energy. Whoosh! To Hong's eyes glowed with a powerful fiery orange light. It was as if the night was being torn apart. He shot to his feet, concentrating fire energy into his fist and threw a powerful punch, creating a shockwave. Bam! To Hong looked at his still smoking fist with a look of doubt and disappointment. Whoosh! He wondered in confusion. Is this really considered mastering the basics of the guidance technique? It doesn't feel powerful at all. He immediately opened his system panel to check. A guidance technique section had appeared on the screen. Looks like I really did learn it. Heavenly Flame Guidance Art. Level 1 plus 5%. Looking closely at the status line, To Hong was stunned to notice something unusual. Level 1. So the guidance technique can be leveled up. The martial president never mentioned levels. If it had ranks, she definitely would have told me. A crazy theory popped into his head and he couldn't help but feel excited. He exclaimed, Could it be that I'm the only one who can upgrade the guidance technique? To Hong stared at the virtual system panel in front of him, a thoughtful expression on his face. So how exactly does the guidance technique level up? Does it use martial value like other skills? Instantly, a bright red warning panel appeared with the notification, Insufficient martial value. He clicked his tongue in regret. Oh well, forget it. First, I'll focus on mastering the remaining guidance techniques. I'll figure out how to earn more martial value later. Without a moment's hesitation, To Hong closed his eyes and entered a meditative state. The fire energy around him flared up, threatening to incinerate the night itself. After hours of hard training, his silhouette appeared amidst the energy channels. A complex web displayed his achievements: Level 1, Lightning Level 1, Water Level 1, Earth Level 1, Wind. However, he frowned slightly as he clearly felt the intense rejection among the 7 different spiritual energies. Sweat rolled down his tense face. To Hong gritted his teeth and thought, no wonder the martial president said that for the past 15 years, every genius who tried to train in all 7 types got stuck at level 1. He raised his hand, a small flame dancing in his palm, but his eyes were heavy. Even though all 7 spiritual energies exist in my body right now, I can only mobilize 1 attribute at a time. What if I force a second attribute to activate at the same time? A reckless gleam flashed into Hong's eyes as the flame in his hand erupted more intensely the moment the second energy stream appeared. A small explosion went off right in his palm. He realized with bitterness that the 2 attributes were clashing violently, ultimately canceling each other out completely. Unwilling to give up, he stared intently at the sparks. Lightning and fire danced around him. Lightning and fire are fundamentally quite similar. Is it really impossible to fuse them? The stream of electricity and the flame once again clashed violently in To Hong's palm, creating blinding flashes of light, but they still couldn't merge into one. Despite the booming explosions on the rooftop all night, he roared with extreme perseverance, "Damn it again, one more time!" Time passed in the blink of an eye. The night stars gradually gave way to the first light of a new day. As dawn broke, Tahong's face was drenched in sweat, his breathing heavy, but his eyes still burned with determination. Just a little more. Just a tiny bit more, and I'll have it. He gathered all his strength, bracing himself in the swirling vortex of chaotic energy, and shouted, "Damn it, fuse for me!" In that hair-raising moment, the streams of fire and lightning energy suddenly intertwined. He roared, "Fuse!" Looking at the radiant sphere of energy that had just formed in his hand, Tahong let out a relieved smile. Even though my body is exhausted after struggling all night, I finally succeeded. He sprang to his feet on the rooftop full of confidence as the sunlight reflected behind him. It's time to go test this power. His destination was the Spirit City Civic Martial Arts Plaza, where the most advanced measurement devices were located. Tahong stood before a massive tester machine. He muttered to himself, "This time I intentionally chose a level 3 combat power tester. It probably won't break as easily as the others, right?" He threw a fiery punch at the center of the machine. He mentally compared, last time using 50% of my power, I reached 3,000 combat power. This time let's try with 30%. The number on the screen shot up, startling him. It actually passed 2,330% of my power should only be around 1,800, but it increased by a whole 500 points. Tahong looked at his fist, which still had traces of lightning and fire, and exclaimed in amazement, "Is the power of pure lightning alone this strong?" A bold idea flashed through his mind. He took his stance again with the combined energy. Then what about the power of the lightning fire fusion? He threw a punch with all his might. The energy exploded so powerfully that it created a huge halo of light that enveloped the entire tester machine. When the dust settled, Tahong stared stunned at the number displayed on the screen, 3,041. Huh? It broke the 3,000 mark just like that. He looked at his hand in shock while the machine in front of him was still smoking. With just my physical strength plus the lightning fire fusion at 30% power, I've already surpassed a late-stage rank 1 martial artist, and my current vitality index is only 123. This is terrifying. A grand vision of combining all 7 streams of light appeared in his mind, and this is just the fusion of 2 attributes. Tahong smirked ambitiously as he looked at the tiny electric flame in his hand. If I could fuse all 7 types, just how terrifying would that power become? That night, he lay sprawled on the rooftop, gazing up at the vast, starry sky, while tiny specks of spiritual energy still lingered around his visibly exhausted face. But he couldn't hide his competitive spirit. He sighed. I came back home to try fusing 3 attributes, but the difficulty increases exponentially. I've tried every possible combination of the 7 attributes. At dozens of times, but the result is still a big fat 0. Tahong stared at this virtual system panel with a calculating gaze. I wonder if upgrading my guidance techniques would help me fuse them successfully. The monthly exam is tomorrow. I'd better earn as many martial arts points as I can. The next morning, the atmosphere at Spirit City No. 1 High School was more bustling than ever. With cheers echoing throughout the stadium, the principal announced majestically from the honored guest stands, "Everyone this monthly exam will be completely different from before." With the front lines growing increasingly tense from now on, training camps will be held annually to select and intensively train our geniuses. He continued to stir up the atmosphere with tantalizing rewards. The training camp will provide abundant resources, not just a vast amount of martial arts techniques and elixirs, but also grandmasters as instructors. The top 3 students from this month's exam will be eligible to join the Spirit City training camp. The crowd below immediately erupted with extreme excitement. Oh my God, a genius training camp. Ah, I have to win. Amidst the frenzied crowd, Tahong remained quite calm and a bit puzzled. The instructors are level 7 grandmasters, but our principal is only a level 3. Wait, why is it just the top student who gets a spot? Didn't that VIP girl say the top 3 would get in? His friend beside him leaned in and whispered worriedly, Chen Shan and Li Tu have both become level 1 martial artists already. Many others have also mastered the basics of the Thundering Fist. We don't stand a chance. I've only been away from school for 10 days and they've already broken through to become martial artists. His friend continued to update him, his face full of pressure. In the past few days, the principal invited Senior Chen Tian to give extra lessons on the Thundering Fist to the talented students. Chen Shan and Li Tu broke the 100 blood key point mark a few days ago. Their Thundering Fists can already produce 3 resonances. Two of the strongest contenders appeared. With an air of arrogance, one said, "This time I'll show everyone who the real #1 genius is." The other replied, "When I defeat you, I hope you can still hold on to that confidence." Up in the stands, the principal sighed quietly while talking to a colleague. "Old Lee still haven't found that 9-resonance thundering fist genius. I've searched everywhere, but there's no trace. Maybe that person isn't a student at our school." Suddenly, a group of strangers entered, causing the principal to exclaim in surprise, A middle-aged man with a triumphant look on his face walked forward, teasing, "Yo, old Lee, why the long face? You look like your wife just left you." Principal Lee retorted angrily, while the other man just laughed casually.
Jiangming, what are you doing barging into my school, you old comrade?
"The quality of your students this year doesn't look too good, does it? I brought 2 of my disciples. After the monthly exam, how about we let your best student have a little exchange with them?" The principal gritted his teeth, thinking with an extremely tense expression, "Damn it! This guy is clearly here to humiliate me. But if I refuse, it's like admitting my entire school doesn't have a single talented student." Jiang Ming continued to provoke, making the atmosphere suffocating. "Of course, if the quality on your side is really that poor, I'll understand if you refuse." "Hey, you!" a kid shouted. "You're deliberately trying to start trouble, aren't you?" Suddenly, Jiang Ming's purple-haired student's face went pale. He pointed towards the crowd. "Master, we're screwed." "Look over there, it's that Tuhong kid." Tuhong. Jiang Ming looked around the students, bewildered. "Which one is Tuhong?" The moment he saw the confident smile of the young man walking forward, he froze. "It's him, that little monster." Beads of sweat started to roll down the arrogant master's forehead. "That kid! Turns out he's a student at #1 High." All 3 of them, Jiang Ming and his students, broke out in a cold sweat, their spirits plummeting into an abyss. Damn it! If Li Yan or Li Ming run into him, they have absolutely no chance of winning. Rather than lose face later, Jiang Ming immediately changed his attitude, waving his hands frantically with a forced smile. "Old Li, old Chen, don't be angry. I was just kidding. No need for a match. How could my 2 trash disciples compare to your students? Right, we concede." The principal and teachers of #1 High were stunned. They watched the other group's faces, now red with anger. "These guys, it dare to mock us so sarcastically. How outrageous!" A booming announcement from the loudspeaker cut through all the arguments. "Match 665, Chen Bang versus 666, Tuhong begin." On the fighting stage. Tuhong's friends couldn't help but worry. They warned him, "Old to your first opponent is already a quasi-martial artist." Such bad luck. "Tuhong, just do your best. Don't push yourself too hard, it'll be bad if you get hurt." His opponent, Chen Bang, stepped forward with a disdainful look, ready to attack. "Are you going to step down yourself, he said while channeling his energy, his veiny hand clenching into a threatening fist. "Or do I have to beat you off this stage?" Without giving his opponent a chance to react, Tuhong threw a lightning-fast punch that sent him flying into the air like a ball. He stood tall in the middle of the stage with a cold expression. As Tran Bang was thrown and fell helplessly to the ground, the entire stadium fell silent for a moment before astonished whispers erupted. Good heavens, since when did Tuhong become so aggressive? Amidst the thick dust cloud, Tuhong's powerful silhouette emerged, making everyone tremble. He had knocked out a standard-level martial artist with a single blow. Tuhong stood proudly after his victory. As the audience whispered in amazement, Tuhong won again. How can he be this strong? He must have reached the level of a grade 1 martial artist. The next match is the final. Up in the stands, Senior Tran Thien and Principal Lai looked down with bewildered expressions. This kid Tuhong. Where on earth did he come from? He didn't even attend any of my extra classes. It's all my fault for being so neglectful as a teacher. Principal Lai blamed himself for having missed such a promising seedling. Meanwhile, Tran Thien narrowed his eyes and thought, how could I have not noticed such a perfect prospect sooner? I feel like I've met this kid before, somewhere, but I just can't remember where. At that moment, the semifinal between the 2 top seeds was entering its decisive phase, the semifinal between Tran Sun and Li Do. Looks like it's about to end. The 2 opponents clashed at lightning speed, creating continuous shockwaves. Their strengths were quite evenly matched. It was hard to tell who would be the final victor. Lai Du, taking a defensive stance, roared with excitement. Tran Sun, we've both reached the 3rd resonance of the rushing Thunder Fist. If you don't use your trump card, don't even dream of beating me. A thunderous punch was thrown, and the surrounding air seemed to be torn apart by the immense pressure from Lai Du's attack. The audience below stared wide-eyed as they witnessed the energy transformation on the stage. Attribute energy has been externalized. Has Tran-sun really managed to externalize his attribute? That's the fire attribute. Its destructive power is second only to the lightning system. However, Lidu just smirked contemptuously, his hand beginning to be enveloped by a sharp, cold blue light. Externalizing an attribute, is that supposed to be hard? The crowd's expression changed once again in astonishment. Lidu can do it too. And that's the metal attribute, which has even greater piercing power than the fire attribute in actual combat. Instantly, Lidu shot forward like a silver arrow, metallic energy enveloping his fist, forming powerful energy chains. What's more, I can also do this. He focused all his power into a decisive blow, his eyes burning. Rushing Thunder Fist Fifth Resonance. The two streams of energy collided violently, creating resounding explosions that shook the entire arena. However, Tran-sun couldn't withstand the pressure and was hit with countless blows. Witnessing this top-tier performance, Senior Tran-thean lavished him with praise. Rushing Thunder Fist Fifth Resonance. So Lidu has been hiding his true strength all this time. In just over 10 days, not only has he mastered the art of externalizing his attribute, but he's also reached a sophisticated level with the Rushing Thunder Fist. Lidu's talent is truly outstanding. Principal Lai sighed with regret as he thought about the upcoming final. So we already know the result without even watching the final match. With the fifth resonance of the Rushing Thunder Fist combined with the metal attribute, To Hong has absolutely no chance against Lidu. What a shame. If only To Hong had a guidance technique and knew the Rushing Thunder Fist. Perhaps he would have had a chance. Just then, a strange man sitting nearby suddenly spoke up, challenging them. Old Tran, I'll bet 50,000 RMB that To Hong will take first place. Do you two dare to take the bet? Are you crazy? To Hong is impressive, sure. But without a guidance technique, how can he possibly win? Fine. Since you wants to hand us free money, I'll take that bet. The announcer's voice boomed, signaling the most important match. The final match, number 1 Lidu versus number 666 To Hong begin. Lidu, focus. Don't embarrass us. Go To Hong, take the championship. Lidu stepped into the arena with an arrogant expression, looking down on To Hong. You're really lucky, you know. It's only because you didn't have to face me or Tran-sun earlier that you managed to crawl your way into this final. To Hong lightly stretched his wrist, his gaze turning sharp and intrigued. After hunting so many ferocious beasts, these students felt far too weak. Finally, someone worth my attention. Lidu continued to ramble on about rankings while To Hong just calmly replied, but making it to this final already means you can call yourself the second best in the school. Then who's number 1? Before his opponent could finish, Lidu lunged forward in a flash attack. Naturally, it's me. He unleashed an extremely powerful blow with all his might, energy chains coiling around it, aiming to end the match instantly. Just this one move, it will make you understand just how vast the gap between us is. The audience above screamed in worry, seeing that To Hong wasn't dodging at all. Oh my God, he's starting with the Rushing Thunder Fist's fifth resonance. He's playing for keeps. It's over. Once the Rushing Thunder Fist is unleashed, it's all over for To Hong. In that very instant, To Hong's eyes suddenly flashed with a mysterious, brilliant orange light. He smirked, and a surge of fire energy began to gather in his fist. This is the perfect moment. I've been wanting to see the limits of my physical body anyway. The panicked crowd demanded the referee intervene because of To Hong's recklessness. Even if you want to die, you shouldn't do it like this. Referee, save him. Has To Hong gone mad? He's not dodging. He's going to meet it head-on with his own fist. The two fists collided, creating a series of explosions. Dust filled the air, obscuring everyone's vision. A purely physical showdown had erupted. The powerful impact of their punches created an immense air pressure that spread across the ring. Lidu's eyes widened when he saw his technique easily neutralized. He actually countered my five-fold resonance Rushing Thunder Fist with just 5 ordinary punches. Without giving his opponent a chance to breathe, To Hong launched a lightning-fast flurry of punches, leaving Lidu to do nothing but brace himself. The pressure from those punches made Lidu start to gasp for air in pain. This monster! Every one of his punches is terrifyingly heavy. The audience below was in complete shock at what was happening. To Hong wasn't even using any martial arts techniques, and yet he could still fight on par with Lidu even when facing the 5-fold resonance Rushing Thunder Fist. To Hong's raw power was just too terrifying. Principal Lee shot up from his seat in excitement. Meanwhile, Tronthine began to form a theory. He must possess some kind of special physique. Otherwise, his strength couldn't be this absurdly powerful. Ha ha ha! Has my school really produced a genius with a special physique? However, Tronthine remained cautious as he looked at the ring. To Hong's power is astounding, but Li Do has already managed to condense his attribute. To Hong doesn't really have the advantage yet. A massive collision sent them both flying back, carving long trails into the arena floor. Li Do was furious. His entire body erupted with a blinding aura of lightning. To Hong, don't you get cocky? The only winner here will be me. He lunged forward for one final decisive blow with all his might. Go down! To Hong looked at his opponent with immense disappointment. I originally wanted to see how far my pure physical strength could take me against Li Do, but this guy couldn't hold out and has already played all his cards. A brilliant golden lightning began to envelop To Hong's arm, more powerful and pure than anything else. Since you've shown me your full strength, I should return the favor right. Lightning. After speaking, he swung his fist and charged forward. Li Do's eyes widened in terror, cold sweat pouring down his face as he saw the violent electric current. You can externalize your attribute too. In the stands, the two seniors were so shaken they leaped from their seats, muttering incoherently. What? How is this possible? My God. Principal. Li's jaw dropped in astonishment while a trembling Tronthine analyzed. This lightning attribute. To Hong has truly mastered the technique to channel the lightning system, a special physique combined with the strongest offensive attribute, lightning. This talent is truly too monstrous. The two energies of metal and lightning clashed violently in the center of the ring. It created a blinding halo of light that swallowed both opponents. Li Do gritted his teeth, bracing himself in vain as he felt the absolute pressure. His lightning attribute is even stronger than my metal system. As for To Hong, he just smirked arrogantly, his cold eyes looking straight at his gradually weakening opponent. You've shown me your trump card. He focused all his spiritual power into his fist, shouting as he delivered the final blow, shaking the very space around them. Now see my card. Lightning Fist. A terrifying energy explosion occurred. The lightning erupted violently, sending Li Do flying like a kite with its string cut. Li Do lay sprawled on the arena floor, fresh blood spilling from his mouth. His eyes were dazed, unable to believe what had just happened. Ninefold resonance. How could this be? As the dust and smoke gradually cleared, To Hong stood tall like a god of war. At his feet lay his completely unconscious opponent. The entire arena fell into a dead silence. Everyone seemed unable to believe their eyes at this outcome. The psychological earthquake immediately erupted into feverish cheers. The ninefold resonance rushing thunder fist. He's reached the state of perfection. Is this for real? Did Brother To Hong really win? This is insane. To Hong's rushing thunder fist is even more ferocious than the teacher who taught it. Tronthine trembled, clutching his head as he realized the shocking truth. Ninefold resonance. He's the genius who disappeared from the school that day. This isn't just a genius. This is a dragon from Spirit City No. 1 High School. The senior's eyes flashed with anticipation, thinking about the future. A monster like this entering the training camp. Those privileged geniuses with their illustrious backgrounds out there are definitely in for a rude awakening. Watching To Hong's back as he casually left the stage, Principal Li sighed with pride. A golden dragon is not a creature of the pond. Upon encountering wind and clouds, it will soar. For To Hong, our little spirit city is just a shallow puddle. He dreamed of the greater battlefields awaiting his student at this training camp. To Hong is destined to undergo a complete transformation and soar to the 9 heavens. The imperial capital Modu, or even the battlefield of the 10,000 races, that's where a monster like him will truly shine. As the sunset descended, painting the old street red, To Hong pushed open the door to his house with a warm voice. Uncle Aunt, I'm home. The uncle, who was busy with the dinner table, quickly looked up and asked with concern, Little Hong, you're back. How was the exam today, son? The boy smiled and replied, Hey, I got first place. The uncle was stunned, then clapped his nephew on the shoulder with pride. First place. Good heavens, you topped the qualifying exam. Does that mean you get to go to that training camp? Right, Su Hong nodded. Yes. In the midst of the happy atmosphere, a series of rapid and rude knocks suddenly rang out, shattering the mood. Knock, 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 knock. A woman dressed luxuriously but with an arrogant demeanor stood at the door and shouted, Hey! Is this the Su family's home? Su Hong stepped forward to open the door, his face wary. Who are you? The woman jerked her chin up, fiddling with her 6 handbags as she spoke in a condescending tone. You're Su-hong, right? I'm Lin Neon's mother, your classmate. Your school is sending the top 3 from the qualifying exam to the training camp. My son came in 4th. I'm here to discuss you giving up your spot. For him. She casually pulled out a thick wad of cash and thrust it towards Su-hong with a scornful look. Here's 30,000 yuan. I'll give you 30,000 to give up your spot for my Lin Nian. Su-hong and his family could only stare in stunned silence at this haughty woman with utter disbelief. Seeing their silence, she began to raise her voice, shouting and threatening them. What's with this attitude? That training camp was established to train talented individuals to fight on the myriad races battlefield. The competition there is brutal. People can actually lose their lives, you know. She glanced around the shabby house and then uttered insults. The people in there pop high-grade spirit elixirs like candy and practice superior martial arts techniques like it's nothing. With your family's financial situation, giving up early is me doing you a favor. Hearing the word death, the aunt's face went pale. She grabbed the boy's hand worriedly. Little Hong, is what she's saying true? Is it really that dangerous there? The uncle quickly tried to calm his wife, though his own face was full of anxiety. Lan, calm down. He looked directly into Su-hong's eyes, his voice trembling but serious. Little Hong, can you promise me that you will always keep yourself safe? Faced with his family's worry, Su-hong looked straight into his uncle's eyes with a steady gaze and replied succinctly, Yes. Seeing this, Lin Nian's mother tried to interrupt, but the uncle waved her off. His face showed clear pride and trust. Are you really going to believe the promise of a child? Of course I believe him. The decision to go to the training camp is his own. He's grown up now, and I trust him to keep his word. Besides, if I can't even trust my own family, then why should I trust you? His words left her choking with anger. Before she could utter another insult, Su-hong decisively slammed the door shut, adding a cold dismissal. Please leave. Standing in the hallway, she shrieked in helpless rage. What kind of people are you? Just you wait. You'll be eliminated from the training camp one way or another. Once the space was quiet again, Su-hong turned to his uncle with a look of remorse for having worried his family. Uncle, I didn't mean to hide the danger from you. But his uncle just gently cut him off. It's all right, son. He flashed a bright smile and gave the young man an encouraging thumbs up. I'm just a rough working-class man. You're more educated and knowledgeable than me, so you definitely understand that training camp better than I do. Once you've decided to face the challenges, our family will always support you with everything we've got. Seeing her husband talk so much, the aunt slapped him on the back, making him jump. What are you even saying, little Hong? We don't care about your ranking. All that matters is that you come back safely. Receiving such warmth from his family, Su-hong broke into a radiant smile, his eyes sparkling with happiness. I will. The silent night fell, and the city lights began to twinkle brightly under the vast starry sky. Alone on the rooftop, Su-hong stood looking towards the horizon. His mind was filled with determination. Even though uncle and aunt support me, I know they're worried sick. I absolutely cannot let them down. To protect this hard-won peaceful life, I have to become even stronger. He opened his system panel, lightly touching the virtual screen to check his results. I fought more than 10 matches in the qualifying exam, and received a total of 285 martial arts value points. It seems that's still not much at all. His gaze stopped on the physique status line, his expression thoughtful. I wonder what kind of high-level martial arts or trump cards the geniuses in the training camp will have. To deal with them, I should prioritize strengthening my physical body first. Su-hong began to circulate his energy. His whole body trembled violently as the system continuously displayed notifications. Mortal physique enhanced by 0.1%. Sweat poured off him like rain. He panted as he looked at the new number he'd reached. Still short, 35.4% to reach 100%. I wonder what kind of special physique will appear after I break through the mortal physique level. He suddenly glanced down. He was stunned to see that 2 of his guidance techniques had changed. Huh? When did the Heavenly Flame and Rushing Thunder guidance techniques level up to 2? He pondered, piecing everything together, his face showing clear astonishment. For the past few days, I've only been practicing the guidance technique and nothing else. Does that mean there are no extra conditions? If I just train diligently like normal, the guidance technique will level up on its own. To test this, he spread his 2 hands, creating 2 powerful streams of fire and lightning energy. If that's the case, I'll aim to raise them to an even higher level tonight. Time passed quickly. and the dawn of a new day began to break. Behind the skyscrapers, Tahong's eyes shot open sharp and full of energy. After a night of relentless, arduous training, he sat cross-legged with a current of lightning and flame intertwining in his palm while the system announced that both guidance techniques had officially reached level 3. Looking at his new status window, a satisfied smile appeared on his lips. Not only had the guidance technique leveled up, but his vitality had also increased by another 3 points. What a pleasant surprise. That morning in the lobby of the old apartment complex, his aunt advised worriedly as she saw him leaving with his luggage, "Be safe, dear. If things get too dangerous, just come back home to your uncle and me." His uncle, standing beside her, put an arm on her shoulder. His wife chuckled heartily, but his eyes were also red-rimmed. "Don't say such unlucky things, dear. Go to the training camp and bring back the #1 spot for me, you hear?" "I will. I'm off now." Tahong waved goodbye and walked away. He left behind the figure of his uncle, trembling with emotion at having to part with his beloved nephew. His aunt turned to tease her husband when she saw him secretly wiping away tears. "Look at you, you're worried sick too. I just said that so little Hong wouldn't worry too much." Tahong strode down the bustling street, a long weapon on his shoulder, attracting quite a few glances from passers-by. As he walked, he suddenly stopped short, his eyes narrowing with vigilance, when he heard a deafening engine roar from behind. A flashy red convertible sports car sped towards him at a terrifying speed, then screeched to a halt right beside him, leaving a long scorch mark on the road. The car door opened. Vo Lam Tien appeared looking incredibly chic behind her sunglasses and gave a firm command. "Get in." The car sped off down the highway, taking Tahong straight towards the genius training camp where the real challenges awaited him. The flashy red convertible sports car shot down the highway, leaving long white trails of smoke behind. Tahong sat in the passenger seat and turned to look at the woman behind the wheel with a curious expression. "President, did you seek me out because you have some instructions for me?" Vo Lam Tien focused on driving, her face behind her sunglasses growing serious. "Regarding the training camp, there are a few things I need to warn you about. As the president of the Martial Arts Association, I have access to the information of some participants." She revealed the shocking information in a low voice. "From what I know among the martial artists this time, there are a few monsters who have already reached the late stage of a level 1 martial artist and aren't far from level 2. Vo Lam Tien's lips curled into a slight smile, emphasizing the difficulty of the game. "There are some real prodigies. Even the weakest martial skill they possess has reached B rank." Tahong narrowed his eyes, calculating his demeanor still perfectly calm. "A level 2 martial artist needs 200 vitality points, so there's someone in this batch who's about to reach level 2. But a B-rank martial skill doesn't scare me. With the system's space, I can learn B-rank skills quickly, too." Vo Lam Tien glanced at her student. Her voice was somewhat reassuring. "Tahong, your talent is the greatest I've ever seen, bar none. But unlike them, you don't have equivalent abundant resources. Therefore, even if you face failure at the training camp, don't let it shake your resolve. With your gift, it's inevitable that you'll surpass them." The young man smiled faintly. His gaze was fixed on the distant horizon. "I understand. Yes, thank you." Vo Lam Tien was secretly astonished by his composure. To know that his vitality and martial skills were inferior to others and still maintain such calmness. "Looks like I don't need to worry about this kid's mentality collapsing." 3 vehicles entered the territory of the majestic Thien Lam mountain range with its towering peaks shrouded in mist and clouds. In another passenger vehicle, the students traveling with him couldn't help but panic. "What the training camp is in the Thien Lam mountain range, a place full of monsters. Don't worry too much. A grandmaster is supervising the camp so your lives won't be in danger." Sitting in the car, Tahong silently assessed the danger level of this region. The Thien Lam mountain range is a massive chain of mountains that stretches through Tinthan City, Duong City, and a few other places. Not only is the spiritual energy dense and the monsters countless here, but deep inside there are even beast kings on par with level 7 grandmasters. An image of a giant tiger tearing its prey apart appeared, a testament to the brutality. The competition between monsters here is extremely fierce, even the level 1 monsters on the outskirts. The monster let out a ferocious roar, its eyes a blood-red glare, are far more aggressive than elsewhere. An ordinary level 2 martial artist wouldn't dare set foot here casually. A black vehicle carrying the group of students sped smoothly along a trail through the old, gloomy forest. From the darkness of the dense thickets, countless crimson eyes watched the group hungrily. Fear began to spread among the students. Why do I keep feeling like something is watching us? We're not going to be suddenly attacked by monsters, are we? Hong clenched his fists, his eyes glinting with excitement. The competition at this training camp will probably be just as brutal as the way these monsters kill each other here. I must be insane. I'm actually starting to like this feeling. Finally, the convoy came to a stop at a field outpost located in a desolate valley. Stepping out of the car, the students from Tin Than School began to look around, sizing up the competition. Heh, I wonder just how strong these guys are. What met their eyes were geniuses from other places with arrogant demeanors and incredibly high-end equipment. Tuo Hong's group could only stand silently, feeling the invisible pressure from the surrounding crowd. Tuo Hong's face remained calm, his sharp gaze observing his opponent's every move. He slung the long spear over his shoulder, took the lead, and shouted, "Let's go!" This prompted the student walking beside him to quickly reply, "Oh, all right." Just then, one of the examiners raised a hand, signaling for everyone to gather in a designated area. The coach, sporting a stern-looking goatee, made an announcement. "We will wait here until everyone has arrived. After that, we will begin the entrance exam." Wait, there's an entrance exam too. Suddenly, a commotion erupted as an aura of extravagance swept in. They're here. Damn it. Being from a major clan really makes them special, forcing all of us to wait for them. A convoy of ultra-luxury cars, including a Rolls-Royce and expensive SUVs, roared into the clearing amidst a cloud of dust. Bodyguards in black suits quickly stepped out. They bowed to open the car doors for the noble young masters and ladies. The three most outstanding geniuses appeared before the admiring gazes of the crowd. Goddess Xiaoyan. She's so cool and beautiful. Becoming a spirit master is truly amazing. This shabby place so crude. That's Lin Xinghe from the Lin family. I heard he's about to reach level 2. But he's such a show-off. Let's go. The mayor of Man City's son Wang Tianhe is here too. He has a 95% affinity with the fire element and a special constitution too. The trio of geniuses glided through the crowd like true stars, paying no mind to those around them. Tuo Hong's group stepped to the side, keenly feeling the class divide from the very first moment. Tuo Hong smirked slightly, a challenging glint flashing in his eyes. So those three in the lead are the top geniuses of Spirit City that the chairman mentioned. Let's see just how brilliant you all really are. Once everyone had gathered, the coach, holding a list, announced in a loud voice, "Everyone is present. I will now announce the rules for the entrance exam." He pointed towards the deep, ancient forest ahead. The training camp is located within the Tianlin mountain range, 30 kilometers from this outpost. An image of an ancient command token appeared on the screen. The illustration pulsed with power. "We have implanted these command tokens inside certain beasts. You must obtain one of these tokens to be allowed into the training camp." The students began to panic and debate among themselves about the extreme difficulty. 30 kilometers in 8 hours might sound easy, but this is the Tianlin mountain range we're talking about. Once you go deep into the mountains, who knows what kind of high-level beasts you might run into. You could get killed. In contrast to his peers' fear, Tuo Hong was extremely excited about his own plan. "I just have to get there within 8 hours. Is it that simple? In that case, I'll have plenty of time to hunt some extra beasts and rack up some martial Dao value points." A student raised his hand and asked nervously, "What happens if we run into a beast whose level is far beyond our own abilities?" The coach replied coldly, "Then you'll be considered unlucky and eliminated. However, someone will be dispatched to save your pathetic little lives." The crowd immediately erupted in fierce protest. "That's not fair. It's very possible for a strong person to be eliminated while a weaker one gets through on pure luck." "Exactly, this relies way too much on chance." The coach looked down at the students with a cold expression and said, "Not fair. This world isn't a playground. What if you train bitterly for 15 years only to be swatted to death by a passing expert the moment you step onto the battlefield of the heavens? Will you cry and whine about it being unfair then?" He stared directly at the crowd and warned, "If you don't want to encounter high-level beasts, then act with caution and avoid risks. The strong preying on the weak, the many overwhelming the few. Those are the laws of the battlefield." A guy in a suit sneered contemptuously and chimed in, "That's right. If you're scared of dying, then quit right now. Stop wasting our time. Scared of this, scared of that. What a bunch of garbage." A male student wearing a backpack angrily pointed a finger right in his face and yelled, "Say that again, I dare you." The guy in the suit replied nonchalantly, "You're a coward and a piece of trash. If you've got a problem with that, then come on. I'll cripple you. The coach glanced at his list and calmly continued, "Fighting is prohibited within the barracks. But once you enter the mountains, we will not intervene whether you're stealing a command token or just beating someone up because you can't stand the sight of them. Feel free." Upon hearing this, the guy in the suit and the one with the backpack glared at each other, their eyes flaring with killing intent and crackling with brilliant sparks of lightning. Tuo Hong, who was carrying his weapon on his shoulder, thought to himself, "This training camp is ruthless. With these rules, they're practically encouraging us to slaughter each other. I bet more than half of the people here will be eliminated." But then again, he observed the surrounding crowd and an idea quickly formed. If I start picking fights with this bunch, wouldn't I be able to earn a ton of martial Dao value points? The coach suddenly tapped the watch on his wrist and shouted, "All right, that's enough talk. The official test starts now. All of you get out." The students immediately sprinted frantically towards the forest, screaming, "Charge! I will definitely pass!" "Don't push me. Get out of the way." The scene shifts deep into the forest where two figures were zipping through the dense canopy of ancient trees. The guy with the backpack was now right on the tail of the guy in the suit, and he roared. "Come on, I'll send you packing right now if you're that eager to be eliminated." "I'll be happy to oblige." Not one to back down, the guy with the backpack spun around, threw a flaming punch, and screamed, "You're dead!" "Ah!" The guy in the suit also swung a fist enveloped in blue energy to counter. The two elemental-powered fists quickly collided, creating a powerful shockwave. A powerful blast blew away the surrounding branches and leaves as they lunged at each other, continuously exchanging lightning-fast and brutal blows. The guy in the vest finally delivered an overwhelming strike. The guy with the backpack couldn't block in time and was sent flying backward. Tahong stood casually on a high branch observing. He rested his chin on his hand, feeling disappointed. He had intended to use this chance to see just how strong these supposed geniuses really were. But is this all they've got? Not nearly as impressive as the rumors made them out to be. I probably wouldn't get many martial arts points for beating them anyway. With that thought, he quietly turned to leave in search of a bigger target. It's best to use my time wisely. It'd be better to hunt a few high-level beasts. But just then the rich guy's arrogant voice rang out as he twisted his opponent's arm. "Once poor, always poor! What's the point of training so hard? How can you possibly compete with the power my family has built up over generations?" The opponent gritted his teeth in fury. "Shut your mouth! Don't you dare lump me in with that low-class trash!" Hearing the words low-class and poor, Tahong suddenly stopped in his tracks. Those insults echoed repeatedly in his mind, and the air around him suddenly grew heavy. Suddenly the corner of Tahong's mouth twisted into a ruthless smile, his eyes as cold as ice. "Looks like I can't let this pile of free martial arts points just walk away. You see, sometimes the poor have their own ways of collecting debts." He calmly stepped out of the shadows, walking toward the two struggling fighters, and spoke a single quiet line. "Stop fighting!" Tahong had a large dry branch slung over his shoulder like a greatsword, his presence overwhelming. "Instead, how about you come play with me?" The two guys whipped around at the same time, shouting furiously, "Play with what? What's this, another poor bastard? Get lost or I'll beat you to a pulp." "Who the hell do you think you are interfering in our fight?" Standing between the two surging waves of spiritual energy, Tahong calmly explained, "You've misunderstood. What I mean is, how about the two of you stop fighting each other and join forces to fight me instead?" Feeling humiliated, the poor student shot forward like an arrow. "You dare look down on me? You must have a death wish." A punch that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds tore through the air, aimed straight for Tahong's face with the intent to knock him out instantly. In response, Tahong immediately unleashed a powerful spinning kick. It created an arc-shaped shockwave that sent both arrogant fighters flying. The rich young master sat sprawled on the ground, drenched in a cold sweat. Trembling, he couldn't believe his eyes. How is this possible? He and I are evenly matched, yet he was defeated in a single move. Before the rich guy could even pull himself together, Tahong had already closed the distance with terrifying speed. The sight made him cry out in terror, "He's too fast!" But Tahong just replied coldly, "Now it's your turn." Suddenly the young master's eyes went wide. Beads of sweat streamed down his face, which was drained of all color as he realized he stood absolutely no chance of fighting back. With barely a hint of hesitation, Tahong swung the piece of wood in his hand, landing a fatal blow right in his opponent's face. Sure enough, dust and raw force exploded outwards. The blow was so powerful that the guy in the suit was sent flying for meters, his back slamming into an ancient tree, his face contorted in pain and shock. Once he was dealt with, Tahong casually slung the piece of wood over his shoulder. He calmly looked down at the two defeated opponents on the ground and left them with a sarcastic remark. "This is the price you pay for daring to look down on common martial artists." Meanwhile, in the monitoring room, the officers couldn't help but be amazed as they watched the screen. Where the hell did this kid come from? They were in a bloody fight, and he just appears and takes them both down in an instant. So do the two who got knocked out count as eliminated? The instructor with the goatee, maintaining his stern expression, slowly answered the question. No. They haven't actively signaled for help, so the assessment will continue. Understood, sir, the subordinate replied respectfully. A moment later, the man in the suit began to stir his groggy eyes, trying to adjust to the dizziness from that devastating blow. Ugh, the pain. It was too much. He clutched his swollen face, roaring in absolute fury as he recalled the moment of his humiliation. Damn it, that hurts. Just as he tried to sit up, he froze, noticing the broken piece of wood lying right next to his leg. As for Tahong, he was long gone, vanished deep into the ancient forest. The more he thought about it, the more furious he became. He gritted his teeth, his eyes burning with hatred. You son of a bitch, I've never been humiliated like this. You'd better hope I don't find you, because if I do, you're dead meat. On the other side of the tree, the student in the gray shirt was also clutching his stomach, wincing with endless regret. Damn it, if I hadn't been so careless, I wouldn't have lost so miserably to that kid. The two of them who were at each other's throats just moments ago now looked at one another with expressions of shared, bitter humiliation. Finally, the man in the suit took the initiative, holding out a hand to make peace with his old rival. Hey, sorry about what happened earlier. Don't worry about the things I said. You're actually pretty strong yourself. You too. I shouldn't have made fun of you, the other guy replied. And just like that, a strange alliance was formed as the two helped each other up to go after their common enemy. All right, brother, let's go get our revenge. We gotta grab this piece of wood. Nothing's gonna feel better than smacking that punk with it a few times. This is what they call the enemy of my enemy is my ally. Elsewhere. Tahong had already left the other two far behind. He gripped his long spear, darting through the treetops so fast he created streaks of blue light that tore through the darkness. His eyes were completely focused, radiating a sharp, cold aura. It was enough to make the surrounding beasts hesitate. Suddenly, he skidded to a halt as a pack of monsters blocked his path. What in the world? It's a pack of level 1 long-tusked wild boars. Early stage, huh? Looks like this Tien Lin mountain range is crawling with fierce beasts. I've already lost count of how many packs I've run into. The ferocious wild boars, their eyes glowing red, snarled and huffed threateningly as if they wanted to tear the intruder to pieces. Instantly, Tahong bent his knees and shot into the air, ignoring the frenzied roars of the beast pack charging below. From high above, he channeled his power as crackling lightning enveloped his fist. He unleashed his ultimate technique. Rushing Thunder. Fist 9 resonations, a thunderous punch with 9 booming echoes. A massive explosion of electrical light erupted, taking down the entire pack of wild boars in a single strike. The attack made the ground tremble violently. Standing amidst the battlefield, Tahong sighed as he looked at the system notifications popping up. I used to get 10 martial arts points for defeating a single martial artist, but ever since I've gotten stronger, the bonus points just keep getting smaller and smaller. He decided to shake off his disappointment, bending down to poke a beast's corpse with the tip of his spear. Forget it. I should focus on finding those command tokens. He searched through the corpses of the more than 10 level 1 beasts he'd just defeated, but still found nothing. These early-stage level 1 beasts don't seem to have any command tokens. I wonder if this one does. Wiping the blood from his hand, he thought to himself, just as I suspected. Still no tokens. It seems only the higher-level beasts carry them. Half an hour went by. Tahong's figure continued to weave between the ancient trees as he constantly moved, searching for a new target. However, the unusual silence began to make him suspicious. When I first entered the forest about 3 to 5 kilometers in, I could find at least 10 low-level beasts within 1 hour. Why haven't I seen a single one now? Just then a massive black shadow with blood-red eyes swooped down from above, lunging for him with razor-sharp claws that ripped through the silent air. Tahong didn't even flinch. His eyes suddenly flashed with an excited blue light as he identified his opponent. Finally, I found one. A level 1 peak stage midnight phantom tiger. Instantly, Tahong shot into the air, concentrating all of his spiritual energy into his finger and unleashing his technique Void-Breaking Finger. The powerful stream of force from his finger pierced through its defenses, causing the high-level tiger beast to collapse to the ground in an instant. Then he reversed his grip on the long spear. Gathering all his strength, he brought down a thunderous strike from above, completely finishing off the struggling beast. He watched the notification appear plus 35 martial arts value points. Tahong smirked confidently. With his current strength, killing a level 1 peak stage beast was truly as easy as turning over his hand. Afterwards, he knelt down and began the task of searching it. He searched through the bloody carcass. I hope this high-level black tiger has a command token. And just as he'd hoped, a blood-red command token appeared, bringing a triumphant smile to his face. Heh, so they really are inside the high-level beasts. It took me nearly 3 hours just to find one of these. He stood up, looking around the ancient forest and starting to analyze the situation. A while ago, there were wild boars everywhere, but now it took me half an hour just to find a single black tiger. It seems the deeper I go into these mountains, the higher the level of the beasts. But they were getting scarcer. Tahong mulled over his hunting strategy. Although high-level black tigers offered more martial points, encountering only one every 30 minutes was just too slow. If I hunt the low-level beasts in the outer regions, I might actually earn more points. His eyes flashed with determination as he immediately changed direction. Instead of chasing quality, I should just focus on quantity to speed things up. As he zipped away, he silently reminded himself of the ultimate goal. There are still 5 hours left in the competition. I need to accumulate enough points to max out the progress of my mortal body. A short while later, in another part of the forest, the scene was horrifying with beast corpses piled high. Alongside streams of crimson blood, the corpses of wild boars were strewn everywhere, proof of the merciless sweep by the hunter Tahong. Suddenly, a giant bear lunged out, trying to pounce on him. But Tahong quickly spun around, dodging spectacularly. He moved with the agility of a ghost, performing continuous flips to escape the claws. Its razor-sharp claws kept missing. He immediately threw a punch, silently assessing his opponent's strength. After taking down dozens of level 1 beasts, I've finally run into a level 1 mid-stage beast. Immediately after, Tahong channeled energy into his fist, unleashing a blazing torrent of fire straight at the beast. The bear roared in pain. It opened its mouth full of blood-stained fangs, intending to devour the tiny enemy before it. However, the image reflected in the beast's blazing golden eyes was of Tahong executing his most powerful punch. He leaped high into the air, bringing a fiery punch down from above, straight onto the beast's head, making the very air seem to explode. The terrifying power of the blow slammed the bear hard into an ancient tree, causing it to snap in two instantly. Looking at the blood spattered on his hand, Tahong calmly assessed his progress. After raising my body tempering to 60%, I can kill a mid-stage level 1 beast with just my physical strength alone. He then gripped his spear and continued to dart through the ancient forest, full of excitement. There are still over 3 hours left. I have to collect a lot more martial points. Suddenly, an enormous sound that shook the very heavens echoed, causing Tahong to halt in astonishment. He looked up with a worried expression, breaking out in a cold sweat. What was that terrifying sound? A gigantic bird with brilliant golden wings that blotted out the sun appeared, making him tremble. What kind of beast is this? Could it be the legendary Beast King, the golden-winged roc? The mythical creature let out a piercing cry, releasing a terrifying pressure that caused the entire heavenly forest to shake violently. Tahong had to plant his long spear firmly into the ground to keep his balance. Is the power of a Beast King really this terrifying? Just the flapping of its wings creates earth-shattering shockwaves. The surrounding ancient trees were swept up by the wind and shattered, creating a scene of apocalyptic devastation. He quickly hid behind a large boulder, his eyes filled with terror. What in the world is the rank of that beast for it to be so horrifying? At that moment, his earlier confidence completely vanished, replaced by a profound sense of humility. I've been getting a little arrogant about my own strength lately, but in front of these top-tier masters, I'm really nothing more than an ant. In the midst of the tension, Tahong suddenly noticed something else unusual in the sky. A brilliant flash of light like a second sun was hurtling straight towards the rock. What is that ball of light? From within the halo of light, a majestic old man materialized, his voice echoing. Golden-winged Beast King, I am Tan Thien Liet. Today I wish to borrow this territory for a short while. Are you planning to cause trouble here? It's the level 7 Grandmaster Tan Thien Liet. The beast showed no fear. It flapped its wings and roared back in fury. I never said I would lend it to you. And Tan Thien Liet laughed arrogantly, his fist accumulating immense spiritual energy. Then I will beat you until you agree. A battle of Grandmasters erupted. Streaks of green and gold light intertwined, tearing apart the clouds above the mountain peak. The golden-winged rock spread its wings to counterattack, creating furious gales. They carried a sharp force that sliced through the ground below. The old man, Tan Thien Liet, let out an authoritative roar, silence, then shot forward at extreme speed. A series of chain explosions occurred in mid-air as the Grandmaster relentlessly unleashed powerful techniques on the beast. Finally, Tan Thien Liet landed an incredibly heavy punch on the Beast King's head. Its blood sprayed across the burning sky. Standing amidst that fiery sky, Grandmaster Tan Thien Liet radiated a suppressive aura and coldly commanded the golden-winged rock. Don't make me repeat myself a second time. Get out of here now. I, Tan Thien Liet, am officially taking over this land. Immediately, the Beast King, though resentful, had no choice but to flap its wings and flee, leaving behind a lingering threat. You just wait. Enough of your whining and get out of my sight! After repelling his fated rival, the old man slowly collected his breath. His face remained stern, but his gaze softened slightly. Right after that, he unleashed a wave of brilliant golden spiritual energy that enveloped the entire valley. His voice thundered, I am the level 7 Grandmaster Tan Thien Liet. All students, there is no need to panic. The assessment will continue as scheduled. Gazing up at that great figure from the base of the cliff, Hong couldn't suppress his shock, sweat streaming down his face. So this is the true power of a level 7 human martial artist, and then his astonishment quickly transformed into a blazing will. A determined look shone in his eyes. Sooner or later I will reach that divine level. Looking out into the distance, the full view of the fortified military training camp came into sight, nestled in the heart of the Heavenly Forest mountain range, looking like an impregnable fortress. Having just landed on the ground, before his reverent subordinates, Grandmaster Tan waved his hand dismissively and muttered, That golden-winged rock is so troublesome. I just wanted to borrow the area as a training ground for a bit. If it had just agreed from the start, it wouldn't have had to take a beating from me now, would it? Right behind him were two talented level 5 martial artists. Lin Zhe exclaimed, He truly is Master Qin. His strength is even more terrifying than the rumors say. The golden-winged Beast King is famous for its unparalleled physical power. And yet you completely subdued it. However, the old man disliked flattery. He strode powerfully towards the command center. Cut the bootlicking and follow me to the monitoring room. Let's see if any of these kids could withstand the golden-winged eagle's pressure just now. Stepping inside the large screen was replaying the earlier chaotic scene. An assistant reported, This is the slow-motion footage. Most of the candidates collapsed, unable to even move under the Beast King's oppressive aura. Suddenly, Master Qin's gaze locked onto one frame. He pointed curiously. This kid, he was able to withstand the pressure so easily right after wiping out an entire pack of peak level 1 black tigers. What's his name? Bai Mu hurriedly read the information from the file. He is Wang Tiankuo, a late-stage level 1 martial artist. His vitality has reached 340, and he has a 95% affinity with the fire element. He possesses a special physique, a godly body of unparalleled strength, and he's also the son of Spirit City's mayor, sir. Master Qin stroked his beard and smirked. The mayor's son, huh? He always said having kids was like playing the lottery. After having over 100, he finally managed to get one decent one. Continuing to observe another screen, he nodded in approval at a young master's footwork. This kid actually managed to escape the range of my aura's influence. His footwork is truly astonishing. Lin Xinghe, late-stage level 1 vitality of 325 96% affinity with the wind element, from the Lin family in Spirit City. Then he noticed a girl who was completely calm. Within a psychic protective circle? Impressive. A psychic master is she? Using spiritual power to nullify the golden-winged eagle's pressure. Not bad at all. Xiao Yan, mid-stage level 1 psychic master vitality of 295% affinity with the wood element. A descendant of the Xiao family. He recognized the superiority of this group. Master Qin crossed his arms thoughtfully. These three handled the pressure with ease, which proves their strength far surpasses their peers. Are there any other promising talents? Yes, sir, there are. Lin Ba and Wang are all mid-stage level 1 from the major families. The assistant flipped through the file with a perplexed look and continued his report. Master Chin, the 10 or so people I just mentioned, are all at mid-stage level 1 and didn't lose consciousness from the Beast King's pressure. But what's strange is, why are they all from the great families? What about the students from the schools? Specifically, what about the number 1 high school? Master Chin sighed in disappointment as he looked at the lackluster list. The students from the schools are mostly just early stage level 1. The 3 best from number 1 high. And I've also just recently broken through. Forget it, I've seen enough. The reputation of Spirit City's number 1 high school is truly all bark and no bite. But just as he was about to turn away, Lindsay's eyes suddenly went wide. He pointed at the screen and shouted, "Wait! What the hell is going on with that kid?" On the screen, Su Hong was brandishing his spear, mowing down beasts as if they were nothing, which horrified Linza. He just endured the Beast King's oppressive aura, and he still has the energy to hunt monsters like this. The female assistant next to him was trembling, just as much sweat pouring down her face. He's a monster from Spirit City's number 1 high school. Lindsay snapped in annoyance, trying to regain his composure. What monster don't overreact like that in front of the master? However, the moment he took Su Hong's file, Lindsay's face immediately paled, his lips trembling uncontrollably. This really is a monster. Master Chin found this strange and snatched the paper away. His voice was stern. You two are both level 5. What kind of talent haven't you seen before? Why make such a fuss? Besides, they're still young. Their minds haven't been properly honed yet. But then, the master's own pupils contracted in shock as he looked at Su Hong's unbelievable profile. Is this kid even human? 100% affinity with all elements? And he possesses a special physique. How can a monster like this even exist in the world? The level 7 master's entire body trembled with excitement. He roared in astonishment. How can such an anomaly come from a remote place like Spirit City? This isn't a once-in-a-century talent. It's a once-in-a-millennium talent. He gripped the paper so tightly it crumpled. His eyes lit up as if he'd found a treasure. My God, I've truly hit the jackpot. Geniuses truly do have good fortune. Suddenly he paused, squinting at the cultivation section, then wondered, wait, with this kind of innate talent, why is Su Hong only at early stage level 1 with a vitality of just 123? This makes absolutely no sense for someone with his talent. The assistant explained softly, but his words struck Master Chin like a thunderbolt. This young man, Su Hong, is practicing 7 different types of chi guidance techniques at the same time, sir. What, practicing 7 types at once? Even a god would be destroyed by that method. No wonder his cultivation progress is so slow. The chairman of the Spirit City Martial Arts Association, his name is Wu Lingxian, correct? Didn't he explain this to the boy? Just as Master Chin was seething with regret over the wasted talent, a martial artist entered and announced, Master Chin, the students have begun to assemble at the training camp, sir. He took a deep breath, regaining his composure. Good. Let's go. Let me get a look at this monster. As soon as he entered the camp gate, the top 3 geniuses immediately bowed respectfully. This junior greets Master Chin. This made the old master nod in satisfaction. He replied, You 3 have done very well. Behind them, a crowd of candidates shuffled in their faces pale as sheets, panting and complaining, We finally made it. I thought I was going to die in there. It was the golden-winged Beast King, after all. 7.5 hours had now passed since the start. The Grandmaster, floating in midair, looked down at the exhausted crowd and thought to himself, I doubt anyone else is coming. Maybe I should just end this early. After all, if they haven't arrived by now, it just proves they're too weak. Yet his eyes couldn't stop searching the darkness of the forest, his anxiety clear. Why hasn't that monster Ta Hong shown up yet? Don't tell me he got lost. Or has my treasure truly been eliminated? Just as the Grandmaster was at his most impatient, a tall figure carrying a long spear on his shoulder emerged from the edge of the sun-drenched forest. That kid finally decided to show himself. Ta Hong walked with an exhausted look, his entire body drenched in fresh blood, but his eyes were still sharp and calculating. I've finally made it. I was so focused on grinding for martial arts points that I almost forgot the time. Witnessing his tattered state, the surrounding students couldn't help but feel a mix of coldness and horror. They murmured, Look at this guy, he looks even worse off than I do, but it's strange. There isn't a single wound on him. Just how many beasts did he have to kill to get that filthy... Suddenly, the young master in a suit who was beaten earlier jumped up, roaring in frustration, I've finally got you now, you little brat. But his companion quickly stopped him. Don't be rash. Once we're inside the training camp, we'll have plenty of ways to deal with him. On the other side, the trio of geniuses was also drawn by the newcomer's appearance. While Tio Yen seemed intrigued, Vuong Tiantak just gave a cold nod. Interesting. Arriving right at the last minute. This guy's a real pro. The bell signaling the end rang out, and the instructor announced loudly to all the candidates, 8 hours are up. Anyone who has not yet arrived is eliminated. Now I will explain the functional areas and rules of this training camp. He pointed towards the magnificent state-of-the-art structures shining in the sunset. There are a few main areas in the camp that you all need to remember. The gravity training room, the footwork training hall, and the beast combat room. Next, he turned towards an ancient solemn structure and emphasized, and most importantly, the martial arts pavilion. Here you can use points to exchange for martial techniques, footwork manuals, elixirs, and weapons, even A-rank equipment. Hearing this, even though Tahong was sitting on the ground from exhaustion, his eyes suddenly lit up with hope. A rank equipment. Coming to this training camp was definitely the best decision of my life. However, the instructor immediately threw cold water on their excitement. But to use any of the facilities here, you must pay with contribution points. He raised a thumb challengingly and explained further, and there is only one way to earn contribution points. That is by passing the training course's tests. Those with outstanding performance will receive huge additional rewards. Seeing that it was getting dark, the instructor spread his arms wide. He commanded the crowd sprawled on the ground, "It's getting late. Those who still have energy can go train. As for the injured, follow me to the dormitories to rest. I don't want anyone dying under my watch." After getting his room, Tahong slammed the door shut, letting out a soft sigh of relief upon seeing the comfortable single room. Thank goodness it's a single room. From now on, I won't have to worry about anyone seeing me when I cultivate and level up. He took off his blood-soaked shirt, sat cross-legged on the bed, and excitedly called out, "System display status panel? I've been waiting for this moment for so long. With a total of 354 martial arts points, it's time to max out the mortal body." As soon as the upgrade process began, a brilliant stream of fiery light erupted, enveloping Tahong's toned body. System notifications continuously flashed mortal body at 70%, 80%, 90%. Suddenly, a terrifying surge of power exploded through his veins, making his eyes blaze like divine fire. The system sent a shocking notification. Mortal body has reached 100%, beginning evolution process. All the meridians on Tahong's body lit up like glowing electric wires connecting to form a constellation diagram. A majestic aura that could overwhelm all creation emanated from him. The energy escaping his body formed small tornadoes that swept through every corner of the room, making the space feel like it was about to collapse under the immense pressure. A moment later, the fiery light gradually subsided. Tahong opened his eyes, feeling the miraculous change in every muscle fiber. His muscles had become harder and more perfect than ever. He clenched his fist, stunned by the surging power he felt. Just the raw physical strength bursting out is this astonishing. Looking at the system screen displaying his new constitution, Tahong was stunned. Tyrant body. The strongest constitution for physical power among all constitution types. I've never even heard of it in this world. He continued reading the mysterious descriptions and deduced silently, soul level 0%. This means the tyrant body can still be upgraded further. I wonder to what terrifying extent this heaven-defying constitution can evolve. Standing up and putting his shirt back on, Tahong picked up his long spear with unconcealed excitement. This special constitution is unbelievable. I need to go test out the strength of this tyrant body and see what its limits are. But the moment he tightened his grip on the C-grade alloy shaft of the spear to prepare to channel his power, something unbelievable happened. Tahong's eyes widened as he stared at the spear, as it bent and deformed pathetically in his hand. What is this? This is a C-class alloy spear, and it's about to break from just a casual squeeze of my hand. His face turned ashen, utterly crushed with regret as he stared at the expensive weapon, now just a piece of junk. C-class alloy spears are extremely expensive. I had to spend a whole fortune to buy it. And now it's ruined. Tahong clicked his tongue as he looked at the shattered weapon in his hand. The truth is, I found this spear in the wilderness outside Spirit City, so it didn't cost me a dime. But now I need to save up enough contribution points for an A-class alloy spear. No sooner said than done, he immediately threw on his jacket and walked out of the room, his eyes filled with determination. I wonder how many hundreds of kilograms I can handle if I wear a gravity suit to earn contribution points. In the large warehouse area, a gasp of amazement suddenly echoed, stirring up the entire space. Oh my God, a full 3,000 kilograms. In the middle of the terrified crowd, Vuong Tian-tak jumped high into the air while muttering arrogantly, "Still a little light." The people around him whispered, 3,000 kilograms and he's calling it light. He can even jump with it. A normal level 1 martial artist can probably only handle a few hundred kilograms at most. Witnessing that strength, Tu In and Lam Tin Ha also had to frown in admiration. Vuong Tian-tak's strength is truly monstrous. What a brute. Meanwhile, in the control room, Grandmaster Tan Thien Liet stroked his beard in satisfaction as he watched the screen, thinking, I can't believe Vuong Tian-tak can carry 3,000 kilograms so easily, as expected of a barbarian god physique. However, the female assistant was worried about another target, so she quietly asked Grandmaster Tan about Tu Hong cultivating 7 types of chi guiding techniques at the same time. When should we go see him to explain the situation in detail? We can't be too direct. Grandmaster Tan's gaze suddenly deepened. He replied sternly, Geniuses are often very arrogant. Being direct will only be counterproductive. We need to use other methods to make him realize his mistake and give it up willingly. Next, he turned to Lam Trak to ask about a secret plan. Are the martial artists assigned for the night raid all gathered? Lam Trak replied, It will take a little more time, sir. Allocating personnel to match the strength of each student is a bit tricky. Lam Trak revealed a mysterious smile. Thinking about the upcoming show, these students just finished their entrance exams, so they're probably very relaxed. If they suddenly face a night raid right now, they'll definitely be screaming their heads off. A cold blue light flashed in Grandmaster Tan's eyes as he gave the order. Arrange a late-stage level 1 martial artist for Ta Hong. I want him to be completely crushed and defeated. Afterwards, I will explain the disadvantages of training in 7 systems. I'm sure he will listen obediently then. Hearing this, the assistants broke into a cold sweat and asked worriedly, A late-stage level 1 martial artist has a vital energy of over 400 and a combat power of up to 5,000, while Ta Hong's is only just over 100. Is this really a good idea? What if his martial heart is shattered? The Grandmaster waved it away with a determined expression. Nonsense. I'm doing this to correct his mistake. If his martial heart shatters that easily, then it only proves that he's worthless trash. In the dark of night, an announcement rang out. Look, Vuong Tian-tak is heading to the gravity room to train everyone. Let's go watch. This also caught the attention of the wandering To Hong. Standing in the middle of the empty equipment hall, he looked around and mumbled, Did everyone go to watch Vuong Tian-tak train? Maybe I should head over there to check it out in a bit. First, To Hong walked over to the equipment box and picked up a yellow bracelet. This is a smart bracelet. Is it used to calculate contribution points? The box was labeled, Point Calculating Bracelets. Please take one. Holding the device, he casually walked over to the heavy armor section, curiosity clear on his face. Stopping in front of a special rack, To Hong exclaimed in shock, The heaviest set is 10 tons! Is it made from a super heavy alloy? Who on earth could even wear this thing? To test his strength, he tried to lift a 5-ton set, but his face quickly contorted from the pressure. This is really heavy. I can wear it, but it will severely affect my speed and I won't be able to last long. Despite the difficulty, he was still determined to put on the armor, concealing it under his clothes. Dressed in his baggy uniform, Ta Hong immediately tested it out, performing extremely fast bursts of speed and flips, creating faint blurs of light throughout the room. He stood firm, smiling, faintly satisfied with his choice. 5 tons is the most suitable weight for me right now. While adjusting his gear, Ta Hong silently compared himself to his strongest rivals. I wonder what weight Vuong Tian-tak and the other 2 chose. They're all late-stage level 1, so it's probably around this much, or maybe a little stronger than me. With the intention of learning from them, he put on his jacket and walked out, heading towards the brightly lit tower. I should go observe their training methods. Hopefully I can pick up some experience. Outside the pyramid-shaped gravity room, the crowd was shouting excitedly. Vuong Tian-tak is a total beast. He went into the gravity room without even taking off his 3-ton weighted suit. Looking at the monitor, everyone's jaw dropped. He even dared to set the gravity to 2 times the normal level. That's insane. Even though he looks like he's struggling, that's a total of 6 tons of pressure. But Ta Hong, watching from the side, looked completely bewildered. Vuong Tian-tak's weighted vest is only 3 tons. That light. It seems I've misunderstood the endurance of the overlord body. Just then, He happened to spot some of his schoolmates huddled in a corner, looking utterly dejected. To Hong walked over and asked, "Transon Li-tu, what's wrong? Why aren't you guys inside the gravity chamber training?" One of them answered timidly, "They're all terrifyingly strong. The gap is just too big. If we go in there, we'll definitely be compared to them. It's too embarrassing." The group could only look at each other and sigh, weary from the harsh reality of the power gap in this training camp. Ignoring his friend's insecurity, To Hong nonchalantly walked towards the entrance, shocking them. "To Hong, are you really going in there? Aren't you afraid of being embarrassed? You should wait until it's empty." The surrounding crowd started to snicker as they watched him walk. "Wait, is this guy brain dead? He's going in empty-handed. He's not even wearing a weighted vest and he dares to go in there. Does he really think he can surpass Wang Tianthak's gravity multiplier? What shameless nerve!" To Hong calmly stepped through the glowing doorway, leaving all the gossip behind him. Gravity chambers are extremely expensive to build, so only the major families can afford them. I can't miss this golden opportunity. Standing in the center of the room, he began to calculate carefully. "I'm currently wearing a 5-ton weighted vest. If I set the gravity to 2 times, that'll be 10 tons. I could probably only last about 10 minutes. So he reached out and adjusted the control panel to a safer level to extend his time. It's best to set it to 1.5 times gravity. That way I can hold out a little longer. Gravity, 1.5x. As soon as the machine activated, To Hong's entire body buckled. Green veins bulged under the immense pressure. This is heavy." Outside, the group of students looked at the display screen and burst out laughing. He's not even wearing a weighted vest. And yet, he only dared to set it to 1.5 times gravity. Just as you'd expect from the guy who finished last, he's ridiculously weak. However, inside, To Hong was feeling a miraculous change as he sat cross-legged to cultivate. This expensive gravity chamber really lives up to its name. Under this heavy pressure, circulating my energy technique is much harder, but my cultivation speed is noticeably faster. 2 hours passed while the others had given up long ago. To Hong remained motionless like a statue amidst a blazing red mist. The scene ended with To Hong's eyes suddenly snapping open, radiating a powerful, deep blue spiritual energy. It marked a huge leap forward for his mind and body. Looking at his status panel, all of his techniques except for the lightning and fire systems had simultaneously leveled up. Notably, To Hong's vitality stat had soared from 126 to 130. Afterwards, he struggled to reach out and turn off the gravity machine, thinking to himself, "If this room is this effective..." Then the footwork and beast combat training rooms must be incredible too. With that, To Hong staggered out of the room looking exhausted and drenched in sweat. "Finally done. I'm exhausted." The moment he appeared, the students outside immediately started mocking him. "Look, the last place guy is finally out. He wasn't even wearing a weighted vest, and he's already drenched in sweat and couldn't handle just 1.5 times gravity. If it were me, I could sleep overnight in there." Ignoring their taunts, To Hong complained about the poor ventilation of his weighted vest. As he reached up to take off his outer layer, he muttered, "This weighted vest is so stuffy, I'm burning up." Suddenly, 2 guys standing nearby stared with wide, horrified eyes as they saw him removing a heavy set of armor from under his uniform. He was wearing a weighted vest this whole time. How much does it weigh? Judging by how much he was struggling, it must be around 500 kilograms, but to last for 2 hours in the gravity chamber, his strength is pretty decent. Still looking disdainful, they added, "Even if he has some strength, how can he compare to Wang Tianthak? It's ridiculous. None of us can keep up with that monster." Just then, a commotion erupted as Wang Tianthak walked out of the adjacent room. "Wang Tianthak is out. He lasted for over 2 hours under 6 tons of pressure." How terrifying! Wang Tianthak walked out majestically through the hazy mist, earning the admiration of the crowd. That's insane. His physical strength is definitely #1 at this training camp. Suddenly, he took off his 3-ton weighted vest and threw it heavily to the ground, creating a shocking impact that seemed to crack the floor around it. Feeling the relief, Wang Tianthak clenched his fist. His muscles rippled with power. "Phew, I finally feel lighter." That weight was truly terrifying. At that moment, the genius Lam Tin Ha casually approached. He proposed, "Old Wang, when it comes to pure strength, I lose to you. But want to head over to the agility room for a little competition?" Wang Tianthak immediately refused. "You practice an A-rank wind system footwork technique. I'd have to be crazy to compete with you in that." Standing nearby, Tahong suddenly froze. He had heard a crucial keyword. An A-rank footwork technique. A brilliant calculating green light flashed in his eyes. My overlord body is great, but the thing I'm lacking the most right now. It was a high-level footwork technique for optimizing one's combat ability. Without hesitation, Tahong followed everyone to the dome-shaped building where he could hear the amazed gasps of those who had arrived before him. So this is the A-rank footwork, the flying swallow cloud startling step. It's so powerful. Looking into the training area through the glass, the students couldn't help but tremble at this agility room. This place is packed with arrow launchers. I couldn't even dodge them on level 3, and yet Lam Tin Ha dares to set it to the maximum level 10 amidst tens of thousands of laser beams and arrows tearing through the air. Lam Tin Ha's silhouette moved so fast it left overlapping after images, stunning everyone. So fast, my eyes can't even follow him. If I were in there, I probably wouldn't last a single second. He's even dodging while gracefully scattering rose petals. The students couldn't help but exclaim, he still has the energy to show off. Where did those petals even come from? But you have to admit he looks incredibly handsome right now. Watching intently, Tahong let out a small smirk as the system in his mind began to count up. What an amazing footwork technique. Flying swallow cloud startling step, progress 1%. He focused all of his mental energy into his eyes, reflecting every one of his opponent's steps and his method of circulating spiritual energy in order to secretly copy him. Right after, Tahong started bending his knees, making small movements right where he stood. He began to sync with the rhythm of the A-rank footwork. His strange actions were immediately noticed by the people around him. They pointed and jeered, "Hey, look at that guy!" "Huh. Oh my God!" The crowd erupted in laughter, thinking he was making a fool of himself. "Ha ha ha, look what he's doing, he doesn't actually think he can learn." The flying swallow cloud startling step? Just by watching Lam Tin Ha move, does he? That's hilarious. As if an A-rank footwork technique is that easy to learn. Despite the insults, the progress bars in Tahong's mind continued to explode 8%, 15%, then 30%. In just a few breaths, his progress was advancing at a dizzying speed. The number continued to leap past 43%, 63%, 78% until it reached the threshold of 93%, causing his whole body to glow with a brilliant aura. Finally, an authoritative system notification rang out. Congratulations. Flying Swallow Cloud Startling Step has officially reached the introductory level. Awesome. I've actually learned my first A-rank footwork technique. However, Tahong suddenly scratched his head confused as he recalled what he'd just done. But those moves of Lam Tin Ha's, they're way too flashy. It's kind of embarrassing, really. I've never seen the standard version before, so I had to copy him exactly. System returning player to reality. He clenched his fists in confidence, feeling the new agility in his legs. Well, at least I learned it. I don't need to go into the agility room anymore. I might as well head to the beast chamber to hunt for points and increase my vitality while I'm on a roll. Just as he was about to turn away, a chill ran down Tahong's spine as he realized the crowd around him was staring at him weirdly. Why are you all looking at me like that? Someone exclaimed, those poses you were doing were ridiculously flashy. You totally captured Lam Tin Ha's flair. Yeah, that was really impressive. I'd never dare to copy that. It's way too flamboyant. Remembering the twisting flower scattering motions from just now, Tahong turned beet red with embarrassment. Damn it! Don't tell me I was actually making all those flashy poses out here in the real world. As soon as he turned to leave, Tahong immediately bolted, his face burning with shame, silently cursing himself. Damn it, I can absolutely never use Lam Tin Ha as my learning model ever again, all while the students behind him were still calling out, "Hey, handsome, don't go. Do it for us one more time. You looked so damn cool just now." But just as he managed to shake the crowd, Tahong suddenly stopped in his tracks. His gaze sharpened as he glanced behind him with heightened vigilance. Is someone following me? Sure enough, hidden around the corner of the building, the two unlucky geniuses from before were stealthily plotting. We finally found him. He's definitely heading for the beast combat room. We'll block the door and beat him to a pulp for revenge when he comes out. In the distance, the massive building number 1 bearing the sign Beast Combat Room stood majestically in the darkness. This was where the most heated battles took place. Right in front of the main hall, the atmosphere suddenly grew tense as Wang Tian-tak faced Tiao Yin, letting out a loud, challenging laugh.
Ha ha ha, Tiao Yin, did you say you wanted to compete and see who can kill more beasts? I just want to find out who in this entire training camp
Is the strongest one you or me? Faced with his provocation, Tiao Yin remained composed, smirking arrogantly as she retorted, "Do you really think you can defeat my savage god physique with just your spirit sense? Or perhaps I'm being underestimated. I think you're the one who's looking down on the power of a spirit sense master." Hiding in the crowd. Tahong squinted as he observed the standoff between the two top-tier geniuses, thinking to himself, a spirit sense master, huh? I've never seen one in a real battle before. I might as well watch for a little while. It won't be too late to go hunt beasts for martial points later. Instantly, the surveillance monitor showed Tiao Yin gracefully, gliding through a pack of jet black panthers, causing the students outside to cry out in astonishment. What is happening? Watching the red-haired girl soaring through the air, Tahong was utterly stunned. A bead of sweat trickled down his cheek. Is she actually flying, walking on air? That's a technique only grandmasters are supposed to be able to do. Could this be the power of a spirit master? Not keeping everyone waiting. Xiao Yan gently extended her hand, and a brilliant golden light burst from her palm. As if wanting to tear through the cold night, those rays of light shot out like swift arrows, piercing through the heads of a series of beasts in an instant, leaving Su Hong, who was standing outside, completely dumbfounded. What in the world are those beams of light? Suddenly, a giant bear with blazing red eyes roared madly and charged, about to pounce on Xiao Yan from behind, with a dense wave of killing intent shown in a close-up shot. The beast's yellow and black striped eyes and its sharp fangs appeared menacing, signaling an extremely dangerous attack was imminent, yet Xiao Yan still turned around calmly. She let out a soft "oh" as she saw the bear suddenly bound by an invisible force floating in midair. Can she really use her psychic power to forcibly bind and control her enemies? Su Hong was secretly horrified. Immediately after, a brilliant sword slash cut across like a flash of lightning, finishing off the beast in a single breath as fresh blood splattered everywhere. Su Hong focused his spirit into his eyes and finally realized the secret behind those rays of light. So that's it. Those beams of light are actually daggers controlled by psychic power. He clenched his fists, feeling the cruel difference in power levels. Telekinesis to control objects and bind enemies. No wonder spirit masters are so ridiculously strong. They can easily crush ordinary martial artists. While he was in awe, the entire room suddenly lit up with a colossal spiritual power, causing the students to scream in terror. My God, what the hell is that? What's with that giant greatsword? Before their eyes, Xiao Yan was controlling a giant heavy sword made of light, bringing it down from above to slice in two the massive serpent roaring at her feet. The girl's face was incredibly sharp and focused. Her glowing eyes radiated the aura of a true goddess of war. A heaven-splitting strike tore the giant monster serpent's body in two. Fresh blood erupted into the breathtaking silence of the entire audience. Su Hong stared intently at the screen, his mind racing. A weapon. She wasn't holding anything just now, besides a sword that big. It must weigh several tons. How could she possibly control it so effortlessly? At that moment, Lin Jinghe casually fanned his paper fan and smiled, answering everyone's questions. This is a type of martial skill exclusive to spirit masters, and it's even reached A rank. Hearing this, Su Hong was completely shaken, sweat pouring down his face with envy. Another A rank martial skill, Lin Jinghe. Why do all of you possess A rank martial skills? Don't tell me Wang Tianthak has one too. Lin Jinghe closed his fan and nodded affirmatively, causing the surrounding crowd to reel in shock. Of course. He possesses an extremely domineering A-rank offensive martial skill. It's too strong. Are you all monsters? Su Hong smirked, his eyes burning with the desire to conquer new heights. This training camp is full of A-rank martial skills. I've really come to the right place. At the same time, the screen switched to Wang Tianthak. He had used just a single simple punch to make a peak level 1 beast explode. What kind of terrifying martial skill was that? Martial skill. What martial skill? That was purely his physical strength. He's this strong without even using a martial skill. Su Hong fell silent, looking at Wang Tianthak's back on the screen, then secretly made a decision. It seems like Wang Tianthak has no intention of using his martial skill right now. Never mind. I'll find another chance to learn from him later. He immediately called up his status screen to check his awakening potential.
Right now, I just want to become a psychic, but my spiritual strength is only 26.5. They say you need over 100 points in spiritual strength to become a psychic. I'm still short by 73.5. Name Su Hong. Vitality 130. Spirit 26.5. Physique Tyrant. Body Spirit Tier 0%. Cultivation Methods. Thunderclap Guidance Art. Level 3. Skyfire Guidance. Art Level 3. Wattmarsh Guidance. Art Level 2. Abyssal Lightning Guidance. Art Level 2. Spirit Wind Guidance Art. Level 2. Martial Arts, Flying Swallow. Cloud Treading Steps. Beginner, 3%. Void Shattering Finger. Perfect Raging Sea Spear Technique. Perfect. Martial Points 0. A bloodthirsty glint suddenly flashed in Su Hong's eyes as his hands erupted in brilliant spirit fire. So I need 735 martial points to close that gap. Looks like it's time for me to start a real massacre. Hiding around a corner, the young master in a suit pointed smugly towards the door. See, he went inside. His companion nodded in agreement, gripping a wooden club to prepare for an ambush. Right now, everyone is busy watching Wang Tianthak and Xiaoyan practice. No one will notice us here. This is our chance. Let's rush in and beat the crap out of that brat. However, as soon as he glanced at the monitoring screen, the accompanying student's eyes went wide and he let out a blood-curdling scream. Oh my God! This startled the one in the suit who snapped, "What are you screaming for? Don't let him find us." They both froze as they looked at the screen where To Hong's small figure was surrounded by gigantic monsters. Look, before their eyes was a horrifying scene. To Hong was facing 10 peak level 1 beasts all by himself, all of them bearing their fangs and claws. Is he crazy? Taking on more than 10 ferocious beasts at once, and they're all late-stage level 1 too. Witnessing this extreme danger, the man in the suit trembled and suggested, "Should we call an instructor to save him? If we don't, that kid will definitely die." The other guy shook his head in despair. "It's too late. In just a few more seconds, he'll be torn to shreds." And just as they expected, surrounded by monsters, To Hong suddenly took a fighting stance, making the two outsiders exclaim bitterly, "Looks like we won't get the chance to take revenge ourselves anymore." Contrary to their worries, To Hong smirked arrogantly, his deep blue eyes blazing with spirit. "Bring it on!" Immediately, the giant python and the colossal scorpion roared furiously and charged at their challenger with earth-shattering power. To Hong bent his knees slightly. He performed a spectacular backflip, dodging a fatal pincer attack from the giant scorpion's massive claws. Mid-air, he channeled his power into his hands. A powerful surge of deep blue spirit energy erupted, forming brilliant spheres of power. In the blink of an eye, To Hong shot down like an arrow, delivering lightning-fast strikes. The beasts were sent flying by a terrifying explosion of force. He continued to spin, gathering energy in his palm to form a dazzling vortex of spiritual power, preparing for his next move. With lightning speed, To Hong swept a beam of spiritual light horizontally, cutting down the lives of numerous surrounding beasts to the utter horror of the onlookers. Outside, the two ambushers' jaws dropped, unable to believe their eyes. Am I dreaming? Is this really the power an early-stage level 1 martial artist is capable of? Even a mid-stage martial artist would be facing certain death if surrounded by more than 10 late-stage beasts. Wait a minute. His footwork looks so familiar. His footwork! The man in the suit, horrified, realized the truth as he looked closely at To Hong's steps. Isn't that Lin Tin Ha's soaring swallow startling cloud footwork? How it can't be. The shock was so great that the log in the suited man's hand fell to the ground. The two could only stare at each other in terrifying silence. At that moment on the screen, To Hong was calmly sitting on the corpse of a giant python in the middle of a bloody battlefield. We've only been talking for a few minutes, and all 10 late-stage level 1 beasts are already dead. The two outsiders were stunned. To Hong, panting slightly, glanced at the system notification panel and sighed. More than 10 late-stage level 1 beasts, and they only gave me a total of 81 martial arts points. That's an average of only 7 points per beast. It seems the stronger I get, the harder it is to earn martial arts points. He narrowed his eyes, sensing the breath of new prey hiding in the surrounding darkness. From the dim burrows, numerous blood-red eyes of saber-fang leopards began to appear, emitting a chilling, killing intent. Without a hint of fear, To Hong threw a punch, exploding with spiritual energy and sending a monster that was about to pounce from behind, flying. Amidst the explosions and flying flesh of beasts, To Hong stood firm like a god of war, striking fear into the ferocious beasts. Indeed, his brutality made the horde of monsters begin to hesitate and flee. As they scattered into the darkness, To Hong's eyes suddenly blazed with a bloodthirsty blue electric light. He smiled menacingly. "Where do you think you're going? Hand over all your martial arts value points to me." With that, he shot forward at a terrifying speed, reaching out and grabbing the tail of the giant scorpion that was trying to escape. With the power of his tyrant body, To Hong swung the giant monster around like a toy, creating a whirlwind that swept away all surrounding enemies. Witnessing this performance, this inhuman display through the screen, the two would-be ambushers could only stand frozen like statues, sweat pouring down their faces in absolute fear. Finally, the man in the suit trembling gave up on his idea of revenge. An eye for an eye. When will it end? I've decided to forgive him. Let's get out of here fast, before that monster comes out and beats us to a pulp again. You see, folks, sometimes fear is the best way to guide someone toward good. Meanwhile, at the assembly area, Tio Yin was wiping his sweat while checking his bracelet. 270 contribution points. Vung Tin Tak, standing next to him, also looked exhausted but couldn't hide his arrogance. The surrounding crowd immediately erupted into admiring murmurs. "That's so many. Remember, killing one late-stage level 1 beast only gets you 5 contribution points. By that calculation, they must have killed at least 50 to 60 of them." Vung Tin Tak looked at the number 100 displayed on his bracelet and said resentfully, "My contribution points from wearing the weighted vest have been calculated. It's 100 points. Tio Yin sighed softly. "I only got 50 points. Hearing the numbers of the geniuses, the other students could only weep as they looked at their own bracelets. "I only got 20 points. I wore the 1-ton weights and still only got 30 points. Boo-hoo, I'm even more pathetic. I only have exactly 10 points here." A few male students, panting and resigned, looked towards the trio of geniuses. "So who ended up winning your beast hunting competition? Was it him? Lin Tin Ha's score must be ridiculously high too. With these 3 monsters here, I guess we can only fight for 4th place." Hearing that, the 2 ambushers from before looked at each other and smirked mysteriously. What a bunch of ignorant fools in this training camp. There's still a much more terrifying monster one on a completely different level from those other 3. 1 hour later, the scene inside the combat training room is now just a bloody ruin with horrifying claw marks on the walls amidst towering mountains of monster corpses. A lone figure sits in silence, exuding the overwhelming aura of an apex predator. Tuo Hong lets out a sigh of relief, wiping the blood from his face. Phew, it's finally over. However, he still looks clearly dissatisfied as he considers his goal. Killing monsters continuously for over 1 hour is too draining even with the support of his overlord body. But I'm still so far from my goal of 735 martial value points. Tuo Hong looks down at his bracelet, which is glowing brightly with the number 700. Still, at least I've earned 700 contribution points. Now I wonder what I can get with these points. What kind of valuable things can I exchange for at the martial arts pavilion? As night falls, the martial arts pavilion appears sparkling and mysterious under the starlight. It is the structure that holds the treasures every martial artist yearns for. Inside, Tuo Hong stands at the exchange counter facing a female employee who is resting her chin on her hand. She seems lazy and uninterested in customers. He flips through the catalog of treasures to check the prices, silently calculating. A level 1 vital energy pill costs 10 points, a healing potion costs 20 points, and a spirit-gathering elixir costs 30 points. Meanwhile, A-rank martial skills like the Whirlwind Palm are a whopping 2,000 points. The Netherbone Fire Fist is 2,800 points, and the Heavenly Flight Footwork costs up to 3,000 points. Even A-rank spear techniques are extremely expensive. Tuo Hong ponders with a serious expression. The cheapest martial skill is still 2,000 points. But the price of elixirs seems quite reasonable, especially since they actually sell spiritual medicines here. Spirit-gathering ones to increase spiritual power. Looking at his ordinary appearance, the female employee silently judges him with contempt. "Hey kid, have you decided what you want to exchange for?" He just looks like a low-level stage 1 martial artist. He probably doesn't have enough points to buy anything decent. It's true you should never judge a book by its cover. Ignoring her sarcastic tone, Tuo Hong calmly gets straight to the point. "The spirit-gathering elixirs here, can they really increase spiritual power?" The girl replies listlessly, "Of course they can, but they're most effective the first time you use them. The higher the grade, the greater the increase." Then he stops at an important page, his eyes narrowing with determination. The highest grade spirit-gathering elixir here is a level 4, and it costs a full 500 contribution points. Unexpectedly, Tuo Hong raises one finger and declares loudly, "To start, give me one level 4 spirit-gathering elixir." This startles the employee, her eyes widening in astonishment. "What?" The girl quickly waves her hands, explaining because she's afraid he misheard the price. A single level 4 pill costs 500 points, not 50 points. He remains calm, crossing his arms and replying firmly, "That's right, I want the level 4 one." After that, Tuo Hong casually holds out his wrist. The smart bracelet emits a signal and displays the brilliant number 700, leaving the employee dumbfounded with her jaw dropped. He really has 700 contribution points? The girl's attitude immediately does a 180. She smiles warmly and offers up a precious wooden box. "Here is your spirit-gathering elixir, sir." He takes it and then asks, "Thanks, do you have a dual-element alloy spear lightning and fire?" The female employee winks flirtatiously at her high-spending customer. "Of course, sweetie. I always have those. It's only 200 points. Thanks for your business, handsome." The scene now shifts to the quiet night sky above the residential area. Lights from the dormitory rooms shine brightly in the darkness where students are beginning their hours of training, private and secret. Inside the room on the weapon rack, the brand-new C-grade lightning fire alloy spear gives off a cold, sharp aura ready to go into battle with its master. Sitting cross-legged on his bed and looking at his just-updated status panel, Tuo Hong can't help but feel excited. Vital energy increased to 135, spirit to 26.5, and his overlord body has reached 1%. All my energy channeling techniques have leveled up. I've made more progress today than in a whole week combined, and I still have 490 martial value points left. He carefully takes the round pill from the brocade box. It emits a gentle spiritual aura. My current spiritual power is 26.5. With the 490 martial value points I have now, I'm still 2.5 points away from the threshold of 100 needed for my awakening. Tuo Hong brings the pill to his lips, his eyes filled with hope and intense focus. I hope this level 4 spirit-gathering elixir, it can help me gain the exact 2.5 points of spiritual power I'm missing. Finally, he decisively swallows the pill, his eyes flashing with a sharp, ambitious glint. I will definitely become a true spirit master. As you can see, everyone, Tuo Hong is giving it his all to break through the limits of an ordinary martial artist. Will this elixir help him awaken his spiritual sense tonight? Don't miss the next thrilling chapter.